Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 127 of the Dudes and Beer podcast. I am Chris Jordan, your host. With me, as always, is Stephen Bishop,
What's
Julie
up, people?
Connolly.
Hello.
Our regular listener, Dean Larinaga, is in the studio with us tonight.
Yeah,
I'm very excited. Happy birthday, my friend. This is our birthday present to you. He is
Dean.
always ringing in on our live chat and stuff.
He's what listeners should be.
And
Yes.
with the,
Everybody takes
exactly.
You're all on
He
notice.
is what I consider a dedicated listener of Dudes and Beer. He is there all the time, chatting with us live, and with us live
good
tonight
content.
as well. Is our guest from last week, embattled lawyer Adam Reposa. Right after we finished last week, literally moments after the episode went live to the internet, live on the webpage, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
His sentence got handed down, and things have been a snowball since. Dudes and Beer got kind of censored from Facebook for a little while and wasn't able to post.
Yeah.
But I want Adam to go into what his world has been like, because like I said the other day, it was swift. It was swift. It's not often that kind of decision comes that rapidly. Is it, Adam?
He had said that he had
Hello?
to go to
Oh.
a quiet space. Maybe he just hadn't quite.
Oh,
gotten
okay.
I
there
think he's
yet.
coming back.
Okay.
I think he's coming
Yeah, I
back.
think I hear him coming.
So
He'll be there in a minute.
yeah, I mean, and Dudes and Beer, whenever we posted the episode, I shared quite a few groups on a regular basis, not just the episode, but articles, all kinds of stuff. And what happened with me and Dudes and Beer was the fact that when I shared this episode with my groups, the two that I started and am admin of, two others that I know the admins of, and one other that I've shared with for about a year. Never have I been marked as spam on any of them. Facebook came back to me and said, your post to these 5 groups is suspect. We believe it may be spam activity. It's like, that's interesting. Like, and it was immediate. It wasn't like,
Just 'cause it's
it
a high
posted it.
profile.
Well, yeah, because if somebody marked it as spam, it would at least go up, and then you would get a spam alert. You know, but
Yeah.
this was
It'd be like
an
a little star.
immediate
Yeah,
message
immediate.
that popped up.
Soon, it was immediate when
Yeah.
that was posted.
And then on
that
top of
episode.
that, hours later, because I texted you and was like, hey, I
Yeah.
suddenly can't share
Yeah.
to the group.
It was looking weird on my page of things.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I can't see it.
And then I went to share the article from the Statesman about Adam's sentencing. Our episode posted, and about 2 hours later, the
Right.
sentencing verdict came out of 6 months. No chance of good behavior this time around. And when I tried to post that with a post of this is a farce of the justice system, I believe, and fight the good fight, Adam. Don't
Right.
let them. Don't. And my word was,
Exactly.
I'm going to say it because I'm a big boy and this is a big boy show. Don't let them fuck with your truck.
Right.
Because I love that phrase,
Don't fuck with the truck,
because it's a fact.
This is my truck.
And that's just where it's at. But my fuck was spelt out Qbert-wise. It was like @ hashtag
I've seen
exclamation
way
dollar
worse.
sign.
I've seen way worse.
And
on
then when I tried to post it, I got a big red warning that was like, what you're trying to post is against our community guidelines.
Dudes and Beer censored.
And you are now limited.
Yeah.
You thank you. you are now restricted from posting to Facebook for the next 7 days. I'm still restricted until tomorrow morning. It wasn't until Sunday that my personal page freed up and I was able to start posting and stuff like that. But
Jeez.
literally, I was like locked out of Facebook.
I'm surprised they
for
didn't.
sharing things to my own group.
Right.
And I don't even know how that happened. Like, I put in, and it was like, oh, thank you very much for your feedback. We'll look into that. And it's like, you better look into something, because
that was an automated sent out message.
Yeah, like it happened. It wasn't even a delay.
Yeah.
It happened immediately. And when I tried to post the article from the Statesman with
There was an algorithm that caught that.
and that's hearsay and conjecture. That's just my theory. Knowing big data and knowing what the capabilities are, it's not that hard to write that algorithm.
Hey,
and there is Adam. How are you doing this evening, my friend? Hello?
Oh, maybe he is having an issue.
I don't think so.
Can you hear us, Adam?
Hello, Adam? Are you there?
Just a little technical difficulty. We'll get it patched in here in a minute.
I don't know.
Do we need to call him back?
I don't know. We shouldn't have any issue.
You there, Adam?
I can hear him.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Thought I heard him.
Mm-hmm. I can hear him. I don't know if he can hear us. Well, let's try giving him a call back. How about that?
Dean, did you put bad juju in the
Yeah, what'd you
studio?
do?
Juju.
Juju.
You know my friend Juju?
The bad one, though.
Nobody likes Juju.
Hello, are you there, Adam? Hello, Adam?
Y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Now we can.
Now we can.
Are you there?
Yeah, I've been able to hear y'all fine.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
We thought we were having an issue. So, yeah, we were just telling the story of how myself and Dudes and Beer got censored by Facebook locally, or at least myself. I couldn't post. I couldn't share to my groups or from my groups. Still can't share to groups.
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff. But
more importantly...
Yeah, more importantly, when the hammer came down last Wednesday, and it was in the middle of the afternoon, what was that like for you, man? Because it was a harsh punishment that came from the bench of Judge Davis.
Let us know how that went.
Well, it was real simple. Like, I said, okay, well, that's interesting. I'm at Thundercloud getting a sandwich with my son. We got a baseball game tonight, so I'm going to let you go. But we can talk about this stupid shit later.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And it is the fact, like you said, before we went on air and I was talking about it, it's just business. That's what it is. I mean, that's what you do for your clients. You make sure that they are properly represented and that they get the fairest trial possible. And
seems like fair was a huge issue in this one, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what has it been like for you over the last week? Because as opposed to your first contempt hearing, this time around there is apparently no chance for good behavior amongst this. What's going on with all of that?
I mean, that's the thing, is it's all made up.
Okay.
I still think that there's going to be a wholesale reversal.
Okay.
Because this has been in the hand of one guy. And, judges, they take respect for judges real serious, but this guy takes it to the next level. And eventually, it's not do you know why we build courthouses? We build courthouses so that we can arrest people and put them on the altar of the most important people in the history of humanity, called judges.
Yeah.
That's not why we build courthouses. We build courthouses because people need to be able to come and voice complaints and be heard by our government.
Yes.
And that the appropriate resolution for the people be obtained.
Yeah.
Right.
So here, you have a judge who's just focused on nothing but respect for judges and has completely ignored all the law.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, the sheriff determines good credit.
Yeah.
That's just, again, black letter law.
Yes.
So he can say whatever he wants, but there's a reason why there's a statute and that it says, for instance, state jail, that's day for day. Right? But guess what happens when you go to prison? You know who decides when you get out?
The sheriff.
The Board of Pardons and Paroles.
Oh, that makes sense.
And when you don't go to prison, you just sit in jail. Guess who decides when you get out?
The judge?
The sheriff.
Oh, okay.
But this guy's just putting on a show.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. From the get-go, even from the initial charge of contempt, it seems like it was really a case of pride being injured more than anything else.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly, let me tell you, this is exactly what happened, is you have, and this is what I say, you got a continuum with everything. Everything's on a bell curve. You got the shortest dude, you got the tallest dude, you got the smallest dude, you got the biggest dude, right? And then as far as people who are going to, truce to power, stand up to authority, whatever you want to say, when you're in that moment, a judge is like, hey, I'm going to push you around. And you have a choice. You can be like, all right, judge, do whatever you want. I'm going home to my family.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, nah, judge, I think you need to understand something, who you're talking to, okay? And that I'm pretty far on that spectrum. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be some lawyers, in history who have been farther than me, but I don't know any alive today.
Yeah.
And I met in the courtroom with a guy who cares more about respect for a robe than any other judge I've ever met.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And I walked in there and I was like, hey, judge, I don't know if you know this. This judgment is worthless because a contempt judgment with no sentence is void.
Yeah.
So all of this is for show.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did. He's like, then I'm going to deny you everything. I'm not going to give you any questions. I'm going to shut you down at the hearing, and I'm going to give you the maximum sentence.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. Then I'm going to make a bunch of videos, and I'm going to draw you, pictures of you eating pepperoni. I'm going to do everything I'm going to do, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a good cartoon guy to do that, too.
It really is, just real simple what's going on here.
Yeah.
But I think that eventually there's going to be an intersection with judges who aren't that way, who are like, well, you know what? I mean, I'm not going to walk in here and just ignore the law. I'm actually going to apply it.
Well, and that's so, just it. That's what most people forget that the judiciary, and especially the local judiciary, is for, is that that's where precedent is set.
Well, how long do the good judges last?
Well,
if you're a good one and then the bad one, I bet there's more bad than good.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not incredibly involved with that, but my point is the fact.
Put it this way.
Go ahead.
You don't get to be a judge if you're not okay with putting, dopers in prison.
Yes. That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been the district judge who's just hey, listen, everybody's not guilty. This is a dope case. Yeah, you're just not guilty. I'm just going to quit you.
Yeah, there's not a single one of them that's not there to make money for the system. And like I said in the last show.
So, if you're sitting in that position, it's going to be within a range, like a very narrow range.
Yeah, and like I said in the last show, that concept of system in the gambler's sense, the fact that they have a guaranteed way to at least break even, if not make money.
Right.
And
it's a money game.
Well, and if you look at it, that to me is where a lot of this comes from, especially if you look at the fact that whenever Adam put up for a motion for his jury hearing, that jury hearing motion was struck down not by a circuit judge in our area, not by a sitting judge in the county, but by a visiting judge who's just like hopscotching around, taking care of some cases and stuff. And the DA is like, oh, here's one. Why don't you deny this dude his constitutional right to a jury trial? Oh, okay. Because they're not going to do that. Like, no, in my mind anyway, no sitting judge in the county is going to deny an officer of the court, a lawyer that they see on a regular basis, their constitutional right to a jury trial. Right. Like, I don't see that logic in any judge's mind, but I could definitely see that being a dirty trick being played on the background, and a visiting judge coming in, signing that and going, oh, yeah, and at the same time, he needs to go into this dude's court. And it happens to be the same dude that found him guilty of contempt.
Well, wouldn't it had the visiting judge known the difference, too? Wouldn't he have known what was right or wrong?
Well, in theory, sure. But the problem is he's a visiting judge. He's just there to sign off on some paperwork and get things done.
So it could have been easy to kind of...
As opposed to like a judge in the county or something like that. And to me, that's kind of where the dirty
He
pool
could have
comes
probably
in.
been easily persuaded also.
The hearsay and conjecture in my hypothesis here, I won't even say theory because it's a hypothesis, folks. It's not
It's
a
even
theory.
worse than that.
And it's worse than that because of the fact that you are one of the best damn DWI attorneys in town. You do get people off in crazy numbers. And when you think about the fact that if you've got to be in court at least 4 or 5 days a week, you know.
Well, when I say it's worse than that, what I'm getting at is that different judges approach things differently, right?
Sure.
And that it could be, think about it like.
Well, their
you're,
job is to interpret the law as they see fit.
Well,
to
no,
the,
no.
to
What
the
I'm getting
case
at
at
is
hand.
some judges, right, will say if you sit down and don't get out of your seat and start talking, right, sir, please stand up when addressing the court in front of the jury, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some judges will say, sir, you will stand, right? You're like, oh, I'm sorry, judge. And then they make you say, I'm sorry. And then they let everyone know, yeah, see what I did? I just put that guy in check.
Right.
And that they're different, right? Judges are different.
Sure.
And so the problem is that what happened here is I went from this judge who I've been in front of many, 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 many times.
Exactly.
And now we get into a tiff that's not dramatically different than the tiff that we've been in so many times. And she says, all right, now that last sentence you made, if some of these jurors heard it, you may be in contempt, right? And that now there's one statement that I made that might be contemptible. A week later, she files 5 separate allegations and now asks this guy, what do you think? What if we traveled back in time and this was back when you were actually a judge and mattered?
Yeah.
What if back then a guy had acted like this? No, seriously, because this is fun for the dude. This is fun for the dude.
Oh,
this
no,
is big
absolutely.
time.
This is the way it happened, folks.
And so now, instead of being, judged by the rules of Nancy Hohengarten's court that I've already tried a bunch of cases in, I'm being tried in the arbitrary rules of Dickface.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, well,
that's why.
Yeah.
It's the honorable dick face.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's not
Well,
Wapner,
and,
right? That's not Judge
what's
Wapner.
funny is that in the Statesman articles, they absolutely interview the juror that you were selecting at the time that this incident happened in Hohengarten's court, and the juror straight up says, "I didn't hear him say anything."
Right.
Like none of the jury was tainted.
The judge did say if they heard, which wasn't sure if they heard.
But quite obviously they didn't hear.
Right.
Either the fact is she assumed the fact they heard.
Yeah. if it's indefinite,
right?
It's
or
not
didn't do
definite.
the homework to find out.
It's like
none
if
of
you
them
had,
heard.
if they had.
But even still, I mean, that's the whole thing is that the juror didn't hear our conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing is that if I get up in a jury trial and I say, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you understand something. If a defendant wants a fair trial, he has to work hard.
Yes.
Right? He has to make sure that he has experts who can review all of the state's data because we know, right? Anything, any kind of scientific evidence, arson, DNA, anything, identification, confession, anything has been found to be unreliable.
Unreliable, fabricated, all kinds of stuff.
And you have to work hard to get a fair trial.
Yeah.
Right? In this court, in any court. I could argue that all day long.
Yep.
And that's why she's just, obviously pissed and obviously just saying he's disrespected me. And I'm saying, no, I'm talking and I'm making sense and I mean everything I said and everything I said is true and I'm not losing credibility with the jury.
Yeah.
Right. And when I'm asking a question about the range of punishment and you interrupt and say I'm misstating the law and I go to another juror, let me ask you a question. If it's 0 to a year and somebody says they're always going to want some time, they're seeing me having to get another juror to get my back to restore my credibility. That inures a certain camaraderie with the jury. And
Yeah.
I'm showing them I'm working hard for my client, folks.
That's it.
And that's good for my client. And that's what I'm saying is like my statement, even on its face, wasn't shit.
Yeah.
And so then they just bring in dude whose just goal is to be the mountain knight. Like, you will not disrespect this court.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, come on. Like, this is just ridiculous.
like 80s WWF status.
Or he's
Straight
from
up.
Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat or something.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and sincerely, because like I said, the fact that you were put before the same judge for the same offense, it's one thing to go before the same judge if it's a jury trial.
That's a conflict of interest.
Well,
man.
because at that point, if it's a jury trial, that's okay, because the only thing the judge is doing is handing down sentence. The jury is finding the evidence. The jury is hearing the evidence.
Right.
But when you're talking about a trial like this,
Right.
the judge is the one that hears all evidence.
Right.
The judge is the one that stands in control of that.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it
if
should be
this
as
dude
neutral
has
as
already
possible.
found you in contempt before, how is it
Yeah.
even possible
he
that
found you
ended up in
guilty
his
before
court?
the trial even happened. So
And that to me is the farce that I was talking about in my post. That
Needed
ended
a
up
jury.
getting me banned until tomorrow. We'll see, because I'm definitely going to inflame this one too.
common sense says there should have been a jury.
And, by the way, everybody, please do go by dudesandbeer.com/causes/Adam Reposa, all one word. There's a link there to the GoFundMe to help Adam with his legal defense in all of this, because it's...
Can I point something out?
Go ahead.
The original point of that GoFundMe
Yeah.
was to fund a field study for a type of, I guess, disorder that has yet to be identified that we refer to loosely as ACBARs,
Okay.
and that's the goal of the GoFundMe was to raise money so that we could get in the DSM-5 as creating a whole new diagnosis.
Oh,
And
okay.
an ACBAR's diagnosis is when you're aware, right? Like you're aware, like if I say this is not going to be good, right?
Yeah.
And I know what these motherfuckers are going to do. And it's not going to be good for my family. It's not going to be good for me. But fuck that. And that it's a disease. And that, when you have anybody else has Tourette's or all these other conditions and that they're able to, be able to suppress things. I'm just physically, constitutionally unable to do that shit. And so I believe that I deserve an ADA designation. And that's my goal, is to
Okay.
raise awareness of ACBARs, because it's a real disease, man.
Sure.
Cool.
Sure, and that's just as valid, because I should check into that myself, because I don't know, I'm one of those people, like, I will call a spade all day long. if I see it and it's there, like, I'm gonna call it out. Even if I agree with it, like I'm pointing out my own foible, like, yeah, I'm going to call it out with like all red flags. Like I'm going to send out a semaphore dude and like smoke signals,
And I'm not the first guy. Like
No.
the Fifth Amendment, right? Like I don't know the dude's name, okay? But he was Sir someone, and he pissed off some people, right? And so they wanted him to confess, right? Like, not necessarily like you did it. It's almost just kind of like this, like you
Just
didn't
apologize.
confess that you were wrong. Like,
Yeah.
this is basically the same shit. Like, you didn't admit that we're right and you're wrong, and you're still arguing with it.
Yeah.
I think
And
this
so
is a white
I think it
man
has something
disease,
maybe to do
perhaps?
with God or who knows what. But anyway, he wouldn't confess. So they tie him down to the floor and they start putting stones on his chest,
Yeah.
right? And this
I
is
remember
called
this
being
story.
hard pressed.
That's Giles
And they
Corey.
keep-
That is the
and they
story
keep-
of Giles Corey, one of the first people killed in the Salem witch trials.
Huh.
And so they said confess, and he says, "More stones, please."
Yep. Yeah.
And that's just the thing, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
Well, absolutely.
I'm
And you're not
surrounded by people that approach these things differently, and I feel like I deserve a handicapped space.
Well, and it's, quite honestly, what's interesting is that at one point, during this situation, you called for a competency trial, and then they struck that down.
I thought I heard the prosecutor say it was a ploy.
The problem is, there are people. I mean, good God, there's a new TV show about an autistic surgeon.
Right.
So who's to say that there's somebody who suffers from something similar to Tourette's? Who's a lawyer?
What I'm saying now is that what makes the prosecutor and the court physicians.
Well, and that's what I said last time, especially whenever he had.
I mean, when you've got that, you've got that.
Well, remember, we talked about this last time.
Yeah,
there
go
was
ahead.
A short window, and in that window, I had filed a writ after they issued a warrant, and then the judge says, I'm going to recall the warrant because he realizes that I filed a writ and that I could have another judge find that it was illegal, and then the case gets killed until a higher court reviews it.
Yeah.
Right? So he recalls it and says, on my own, I've reconsidered competency.
Yeah.
I don't know what he heard, what he thought, what he learned. But then down the road, he says, now I'm going to set it for another reconsideration of my reconsideration. And guess what he says this time?
I'm not
this
reconsidering.
time I find there's no good cause.
Yeah. There is no need to reconsider.
Now I set you for another hearing.
Yeah.
On the contempt.
Yeah.
And that's all that was.
Yeah.
The competency was just a way to keep the litigation alive, because he couldn't just recall it for no reason.
Yeah.
He had to recall it for the reason of I've reconsidered competency. He had to make it look like, oh, I can't do that. That's illegal. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fuck. Okay.
Well, and that's just it. No, absolutely, because like I said, throughout this whole process, there has been just extreme unction taken to assure the fact that this thing gets tangled up.
Right.
And do you even think that it might be a possibility that it ties into the fact that you were running for a bench seat? You know, I don't think it's beyond possibility.
No. I mean, I don't know. I think I told y'all.
And that's just me as a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to deny the fact that I'm a conspircy theorist, Adam. But I'm also not going to deny the fact that any good DA is also a conspiracy theorist.
Well, let's. I mean, we can first of all take a second off to go to that, because I think just get rid of conspiracy.
Yeah.
And just look at it simple.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the fucking dudes are, but I don't know if there's 12 or 26 or whatever, but they're these motherfuckers, and they got all the fucking money.
Mm-hmm.
And just like at high school, they've got a clique.
Right.
But it's not a high school, it's a fucking planet.
Well, and
it's a planet. And then it just goes down from there. And underneath them are certain people, and those are the powerful people in politics, and in policy and in everything else that controls and runs the fucking world, business, yada, yada, yada. And there's just a few rungs, but they've steadily been getting just a wider base of people that have fucking nothing.
Yeah.
And then just just elongated stretch of wealth concentration.
True.
And that is, it's just that simple. And so clearly, these people exist.
Well,
these judges, it's not a conspiracy.
Oh, no.
It's just who they are.
Yeah.
It's just, let's do mass incarceration. Okay, I'll find everyone guilty. I just got to, where's the pen?
Well, and like I was saying, it's definitely the fact that someone who is in court as much as you are, you've got to be in court at least a good 4 days a week. So that's at least a good 2 trials a week. And when you're talking at a minimum, what's somebody pay in probation fees at a minimum if they get a DUI or DWI? $10,000?
God.
$10,000? So if you're taking out $20,000 a week times 52 weeks a year, son, that's some cash that you are removing from the system. That puts you square in the crosshairs. Much less if you're handling 3-4 cases a week, because you're not the only practicing lawyer at your practice.
It's extortion by the system.
So it to me, quite literally, and like I said, I consider any good DA a conspiracy theorist. If we didn't have conspiracies, people wouldn't be in prison for conspiracy to commit murder. If we didn't have theories, good God, we wouldn't have scientific laws like gravity. So theories exist, conspiracies exist. Obviously, conspiracy theories exist, and every single DA is doing nothing but spinning a paradigm, spinning a story, spinning something that they have to prove by fact in a court of law. But yet still, it is the story that they are telling. It's a narrative.
Right.
And that's what they're taught in school, is
Yeah.
to tell a narrative, to sell a narrative to the jury. And, like, to me, I don't know, everything, just looking at facts of what's happened within your case is just a horrible, horrible narrative of justice. Like, there is no way, shape, or form that it should fall that way within the justice system. It's been horrifying.
No. It's like it's like so many eyes are on it that somebody should have called this and said, "Hey, stop this." This
No,
ain't right."
that's the
You know what I
problem,
mean?
is that
yeah.
there-
and nobody
is-
came forward to
The
do
problem is that there aren't enough eyes on it. And like I was trying to explain to Amy, my wife, the other day, the real case is, think about it. Like this, and like I said earlier, the state and local courts are where laws are disseminated and used, and where precedent is set. And that's all
Right.
that you need in court,
But I'm
is
sure
setting precedent.
Right.
So if you set the precedent that you can now call a lawyer in contempt and hold him at the maximum penalty
Right.
simply for injuring the pride of a judge,
Right.
how hard are lawyers going to defend their clients?
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
And that's the dangerous.
So why didn't
that's
anybody
the
else speak up?
precipice.
I'm talking about the ones on the inside, other lawyers, other judges, other people should, because
No, that's what I agree with.
Yeah,
because they're in that clique, I believe.
yeah.
Or they also don't want to be on the wrong side and get
Yeah.
stuck in 6 months.
They want to be.
yeah,
They're intimidated. They're intimidated
Yeah.
by something. They're intimidated
Absolutely. And I mean, I can't see anything less than that.
because to them this was a red flag, but yet nobody spoke up.
Well, and even the judge himself, in the article that I was banned from posting, y'all, but go check it out. Horribly enough, he was like, the lawyers that testified saying that this was a chilling revelation. Like, there were actual lawyers that went and testified and were like, listen, this is BS. We should be able to do this. We should be able to call in the question. If you're calling into question the ethics of our client, why cannot we call into question the ethics of the court, the ethics of the DA, the ethics by which evidence was gathered? And that, like, breaks down the
That's
entire
because-
system.
That's because when the judge puts on that black robe, keyword black robe, that he's like God at that point.
Well, yeah, and
Correct.
it's quite literally a judge got himself injured or herself injured in a court of law and was like, "Oh, my pride's hurt." But that's not where it's supposed to stand, and to do that is a dangerous, dangerous road to cross, I think. So,
What's the time frame looking like, Adam, for when you have to, like, sort of resolve yourself to this or report
Yeah.
in or whatever?
You there?
you still there, Adam?
Oh shit!
Do we
Uh-oh.
lose you again?
I don't know.
Adam, you there?
This
Well,
never
and
happens.
for me, I know it's weird. That's all right. I guarantee you he's still there. Because
Yeah.
There he is.
There
Okay,
it
yes.
So yeah, Julie was just asking
When you gotta report.
What is the time frame looking like for you having to report for sentencing and all that kind of stuff for serving? Hello? You still there?
Sauce on.
Yeah, we're here.
I put some hot sauce.
Oh.
That's nice. Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
Yeah, I keep cutting in and out. Sorry.
sorry about that.
So,
So-
what's the time frame? How long have you got before you're supposed to show up?
Oh, there's so many balls in the air right now. It's nutty. I mean, there's, a lot more than I'd care to explain at the moment, but there's still tons of alternative avenues that you can litigate.
That's good.
Not to mention,
Yeah,
because of the order of the way this was tried, I feel like it was not a contempt, but actually a trial. So I feel like I can file a notice of appeal, get an appeal bond,
Sure.
present that, have the judge, I can ask to have him recused again for someone else to hear my motion for new trial. There's still a lot of stuff that can be raised. So I'm expecting that, things will, I don't know how long the timetable is, but I'll just be sitting on bond waiting for this thing to get resolved.
Yeah. Well, and, it's frequent even whenever you have regular probation, things like that, that it takes a couple.
Get arrested Friday.
Yeah, no, exactly. They could come take you from your office Friday morning. They could be waiting for you at the door.
Now that's fucked up.
They could come tomorrow morning before you leave for work.
Now, Adam, we talked about last episode the color of justice. Would there have been any dollar amount that would resolve this whole issue with you?
Beg your pardon?
Remember last episode we talked about the color of justice?
Yeah, the fact that if you have like a simple possession charge, you could probably just pay a $10,000 fine or do your 1.5 year probation.
Right.
Is there something where, and I don't think that there was the option of paying a fine or anything like that. Like with contempt, it's a little bit different. Am I correct?
Well, what's interesting
Adam?
is the judge herself can actually probate it.
Sure.
So, like I said, that's why I think there's so many different things that are going on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, most definitely. Because, like I said, even the road to getting to where you were in the courtroom that you were with the verdict that you ended up with was a long road to hoe and a lot of dominoes to set up, But like I said, if you follow the money, that's just it to me. If you follow the money, if you follow the fact that
that's what the judge is going to do
on a local basis alone, the number of cases that you get off for people and things like that for DWI, DUIs, possession charges, all kinds of stuff.
Those are the people
it's got to be into the order of a few commas.
People go to those good attorneys that can do that, and then the courts look down upon them because they're not making money for the system. It's like, you got that double-edged sword.
Yeah. Well, it's like he was saying about judges a while ago. The vested interest is to put somebody into the system.
Yeah.
That's been
AKA make money for us.
And it's been shown numerous times. There was a case in Pennsylvania not too long ago of a judge that was just put into prison for actively selling like kids into the court system.
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear me?
Can you hear us, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I'm catching like it's low volume, like I'm barely able to hear y'all.
We can maybe turn it up.
Crank it up, Chris.
I don't think so.
I can turn it up for you. Is that better?
Yeah, appreciate it.
No worries, my man.
Is this going to affect your bar standing at all?
Well, I think that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their dirty goal.
But, there's so much that, first of all, when it comes to contempt, they can't suspend you or disbar you unless it involves fraud, dishonesty, or dishonor, which, I don't know if that's a term that's, open to interpretation, but you have a right to a jury trial at the state bar level. They then have some other procedural rights they can use against you, basically change the charges right before you get to trial and then try you on some different stuff that they sort of gin up while they're investigating you for their underlying claim.
So shady.
There's a lot of interesting ins and outs that go into state bar litigation. It's procedurally wonky. It's, sort of administrative, and there's a lot of different standards, but suffice it to say, I think if I could get in front of a jury and get a fair trial, then I believe, any jury that I picked would rule for me on this deal.
Well, and I think
just based on the fact of, they're jurors, just regular people who were there. So, I'm really not worried about if I could get the fact. The question is if I could get the fact.
Yeah.
Well, and that to me is the issue, is the fact that like extreme actions were taken to assure the fact that you did not get your constitutionally viable jury trial. Like you are due your right by jury or your right to trial by jury by the Constitution. And the fact that they went through extreme measures to assure the fact that that was taken away from you is pretty phenomenal. You still there?
I think you need to move to a different part of your house.
Possibly. Well,
Adam, you there?
Yeah, I can barely hear you again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna fix that.
Maybe.
there you go.
Yeah, I think that honor part of that, like, whole those rules of whatever they follow, I think that's misinterpreted a lot of times. I think, like, the judge kind of takes, like, confuses or mixes and blurs the honor part with, like, personal. You know what I mean? I think.
Sure.
I mean, oh, he did, you know, he disrespected me or whatever. You know, like, come on, man. You know, like, geez, dude. You got to take an overview of what's going on here and not take it so personal. You know, it's not, you know, geez. I mean, that's, you know, what I think on that, you know, like, you know, judge from one to another, you know.
How often is it that you hear of cases of contempt, Adam?
Very rarely.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that...
See, that's another thing I'm thinking of is the other people that, you know, lawyers and attorneys and all this that are in the area that know about this is going on and stuff, like, you know, they're hearing this and, you know, they're, oh, this is fucked up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, they all know it's fucked up. They all do.
Well, and I mean, in my mind, like I said, it's much more the fact of they went through extreme measures to assure the fact that he ended up in a certain court.
Right.
They've done everything except strip his license so far, and that is fortunate. But the fact is, like he said, at any moment, like he could in the middle of this phone call, they could come knocking at his door because it's time to go serve your sentence.
Jeez.
Right.
You know,
that's so scary to live with that over your head.
What is that like for you, Adam?
The thing is, the judge gave me a charge Friday.
Oh. So
Yeah, that's the whole thing is that we're trying to either get a day or get a bond in advance. So yeah, I'm not planning on just walking into jail and sitting in jail until this whole thing gets resolved.
Right.
Oh, no,
I'm sure
yeah.
you've got way too much to do to actually make sure the process is followed out. That would be way too hard to work in jail.
But, you know, I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong a lot in this case, but I think at this point, you know, the whole concern was, hey, look, you know, the way this works is you go to court and then there's litigation and then the court renders an order and then, or a judgment, and then based on that, you can then go appeal to a different court, but you can't before you go to court and get a judgment. And it's very, very, very limited circumstances. And here, you know, just sort of this judge has to be allowed to have a hearing and say all this shit, and do it all and whatever. And then afterwards, then you can definitely, once you have a sentence, you can definitely come and raise all this stuff, but you can't raise it right now. And you're, you know, not in jail. So you're not under restraint, and this isn't something I can hear.
Yeah.
So I don't think that this thing is over, but
Hey, Adam, do you think there's could you sue for a malicious prosecution?
you know, that's a great question. So TBD.
Good luck.
That's but hey, listen, fellas, I got to get a little early tonight, but let's keep in touch and we'll get back on.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good luck, Adam.
Absolutely.
We're here for you, brother.
Godspeed. Everybody make sure to go and check out
our support.
dudesandbeer.com/causes/Adam Reposa, all one word. That is where you can go and donate to the cause that he was talking about, the upcoming study on the disorder. and to help out with his legal defense in that way. So, where do you guys stand on this? Because it is, I mean, to me, one of those just absolutely wild things that happens in the justice system that you hear about here and there.
They're trying to set an example with it, man. They're going after him. They're trying to get his license or whatever off the bar, trying to get him from
a fear culture for the lawyers.
They're
so
trying to make,
stay in line or whatever.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
They're like, you're maybe you were never in the clique, but we let you hover around for a while.
Right, you're not cool now. You're out of the cafeteria.
Now we're really done with you,
now
kind
you're
of
back
deal.
to
You know what I mean?
in the bathroom with the tray on your lap.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
Damn.
it's kind of like you weren't with the cool
Steven's
kids.
gonna take your chocolate milk, guys. Holy
Give
shit!
me that pizza.
No,
You are out
it
of the
goes
lawyer
everywhere.
club.
It goes everywhere with it. You know, you can actually take the template and place it upon jobs or whatever, or school, and it's the same thing, man.
Yeah, hierarchy everywhere.
Yeah, it's a
Absolutely.
hierarchy. Exactly. Yeah, it's a hierarchy.
Well, and interestingly enough, that kind of stuff happens frequently in many jobs, not just lawyering. There's a certain
cliques of progressive.
Well, and it's not even. It's let's not mention names.
Don't worry.
It doesn't matter anymore for you. Actually, that's right. She can mention any damn thing she wants.
One of these days, I'm going to mention mine.
Yeah,
I was so careful for the entire time.
You were amazing. I think I had to call you once. Once I was like, all right, you're getting really
I have
close
nothing bad
right
to say
now.
about him, though. So
No, they're a
impressed anyway,
fantastic company. They're a great company.
Yeah.
They treat their employees fantastically.
Even there were cliques and hierarchies.
You know, and that's just it. Like in society, I've tried to show Amy so many times. Like we just psychologically are so entirely amygdala driven. That nice little almond part of our brain that's the dead center, but is also like the reptilian part of our brain. It's what drives us. If you look at it in sociology, there are like 5 driving forces. You know, there are 5 things that we need as human beings to survive, and it's like shelter, food, security. You know, it just there are so many simple things that this one part of our brain desires and needs, and when it's not met, things just go awry. Things go friggin' nuts. And for me, it's gotten to where, especially, and we were talking about this before the show, Dean. Welcome, Dean Larinaga, to the conversation.
in the house.
Happy birthday, Dean.
Happy birthday, Dean.
I would say by far our most dedicated listener and chatter. He is a common frequent user.
Too kind.
on the Dudes and Beer app, and
Represent.
likes the lighter side stuff. So we're going to get into a little bit of that
Let's
this
do
evening,
it, man.
because
I'm down.
I consider this it's an issue that it's a lot of the reason why I started Red Team News. I see that there is so much friggin' negativity going on all sides, like from all sides of the spectrum.
Dude, I get that all the time.
And-
like I have to bounce between people that are like 2 different sides, and I'm like, neither one of y'all are right. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, I'm wrong frequently. I got no problem.
I just
with
nod
it.
my head and say, yeah.
But it's not even about right and wrong.
I have that entitled white man disease that you guys were talking about earlier. I also often dig my heels in.
The white man disease.
Yeah. Well, and it's just the fact of there's, I don't know. To me, there is a commonality amongst humanity. There is something that overarches all of us that should reach beyond, and so many of us choose not to see it. So many of us choose not to take part in something that's slightly greater than ourselves.
It's like a common conscience.
But I don't care if it's God.
Yeah.
I really don't care. Little G, big G, it doesn't matter. It could be the Patriots.
Yeah, dude.
That's cool. Go Pats.
Go Pats.
How about
Whatever.
OG? There's an OG
It could be
out
the
there.
Broncos.
Yeah,
All right?
Don't ask me about the
Yeah.
It could be the Broncos. I don't
It
care.
can't be the
Don't
Broncos.
forget
You know?
OG.
But it's this concept of something greater than yourself. And I see it so many, like we were talking
I
about.
think we're
with the
built
judges.
that way, man. We're built that way.
Well, we are.
We're built the fuck
we
up
are,
and think for ourselves.
The point that I was getting to is that we have common cliques. We naturally have that, and it's something that I don't know, as animals, that amygdala part of us drives us.
Like companionship.
Yeah, it drives us to people of like mind. It drives us to people of like belief,
And then we have this room.
there's a point of safety there.
Don't tell Bobby Boucher that.
But that's dangerous.
Okay.
I hate that racist cliche of my people. And I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie.
I like the movie. I think it's
That's
funny.
great.
I think that's all I'm thinking of.
That's
The movie is
fantastic.
hilarious.
I can appreciate that.
It didn't
I'm
go
not
further
gonna
than
say
the movie.
it hadn't given me a laugh.
Yeah, it didn't go further than the movie.
But then even in some good God, man, like the other day there was somebody that made some deal about friggin' like cotton, like natural cotton being sold at like the arts and crafts store, and it's like, come on.
Well, they say, come on.
The Amish out of business.
It's funny too because I saw the cotton because I was at Hobby Lobby when I was in Odessa last week, and I thought, why in the world would anybody want that? And then I moved on
Because it
because
looks
who
cool.
cares? It didn't though in person. It looks real cheap, but that
Depends
was not
on what
their,
you're using. You could weave it into a wreath, something like
yeah,
that.
maybe
All
I
kinds
don't
of
have
stuff.
that kind of
You know?
thing on my brain.
you gotta be
but I saw
talented
it and
to
I
do
was
that,
like,
man.
no.
But
That's-
it's
I don't know
the fact
anybody's
that,
skilled like that these
I was not
days.
offended by it. I
No.
just saw it and I was like, well,
Yeah.
that's kind of tacky, and I moved on.
Well,
And I moved on.
That's kind of oh, that's
Store
nice.
manager got a phone
Yeah.
call later.
I did. I was like, that is very ugly.
Well, and I'll admit the fact that like I constantly have family members that are like, oh, here, like take this vase with
What
these
the fuck,
reeds
dude?
in it, and I'm like, I have
I
no
don't
need
want
for that.
that at
I don't.
all.
Have you ever been to my home?
That's hilarious.
Like my home looks like this, just with many more electronics.
Yeah, he's right on that. Yeah.
And for
Your
me,
wall space is pretty well taken up.
yeah, it is. It is my wall space.
Except
is
now you got a
highly
new-
occupied.
Right there.
I do. The problem is that doesn't show on camera for talking
Oh,
sound.
fair
See?
In between all of those electronics at his house, he's got a new addition, and it's Dalbus right in the
Yeah,
middle.
Oh,
yeah.
he's so cute.
He tucks in right
I'm gonna
next
play
to
with
me
him
while I
tomorrow,
work.
so it's fun.
Right in between the cables and everything. He's right there.
But that's the thing. Our cliques in society tend to make us divide. They tend to make us not want to have conversation. They tend to make us like even if you look at a common. We did it in junior high and high school. Look at your lunchroom, man. Like
Well, hey,
it is divided off like a fucking prison cafeteria.
Dude,
straight up.
I was at
Like,
work yesterday.
There's those dudes over
Guess
there.
what
and those
movie?
dudes, and don't go over there.
You know what movie was playing on TV yesterday at work? Blazing Saddles.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then
I'm sorry.
I had another friend.
Feel free to laugh openly.
A younger guy than me, my coworker in the back
Yeah.
comes out, and I was kind of saying some stuff about the movie and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he said,
What were you saying about the movie, Steve?
Well, I was just saying how I don't feel like a lot of people these days can actually take this type of comedy or humor in today's world. And so anyways, long story short, I talked about Richard Pryor writing the script, yada yada.
he did.
You're right.
And what's funny is
because I was waiting for him to go off on, this is such a racist movie.
Amy watched it with me the first time because it is literally a movie from my childhood. Like I remember that movie vividly.
Did you just play the
from when I was like 8, 9
some
years old
Patriot
on
thing
HBO?
while I was talking?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was trying to give you a little patriotic fight
my
while you were on your
Make
rant.
it even
Flag
worse.
waving behind
Oh
you.
my
I
God.
was on my knee. It was the
Oh
whole
my
thing.
god! I have to lock both doors when I
But it
pump
was
gas tomorrow.
hilarious because
No.
we had just like a couple days before watched 48 Hours, and she was like, "Oh my god, that was like the most racist freaking movie ever."
What's 48 hours?
48 Hours with
Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte.
Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte.
I said it backwards, yeah.
Yeah, either way you
Yeah,
go.
either way.
They were both equally famous at the same time. But
Again, poor Nick
yeah,
Nolte.
and there was a lot of racist overtones in there. The 80s cop movie, black dude, white dude, you know.
80s didn't give a shit.
But
They did.
no,
right.
And then we watched Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, right.
And then we watched Blazing Saddles, and she was like, "Oh my god, that was so entirely racist.
Yeah.
I can't believe that."
Right.
And then Richard Pryor died,
Wow.
and we
His best buddy
watched
was Gene Wilder.
we watched the Richard Pryor documentary, and she found out that every single black joke was written by Richard Pryor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, all of the jokes about that were all technically written for him.
Yeah.
Like, he was supposed to
He
be
was
Cleveland
supposed to.
Little's part. He was supposed to be the sheriff.
The sheriff.
The only reason he wasn't was because at the time he had been so yayoed up and everything that the studio literally would
It's
not.
like, maybe not today.
They would not insure
You know what,
him to be on set.
Oh.
I'm a little busy tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a little busy trying to put the other side of my hair
I
out.
wonder though if maybe they sort of
I love you, Richard.
pushed
God
him
bless
into
you.
writing the jokes so that it could be like, hey, they're not bad. Look, a black guy wrote them.
And that makes
but-
total
Well,
sense.
yeah,
Because
but
every
at the
time
same
you saw
time-
Gene Wilder, you would see Richard Pryor. Stir
It's-
crazy, see no evil,
Oh
hear
God,
no
yeah.
evil.
Oh God, yeah.
You
well,
know.
and not just that.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
Silver Streak.
yeah, it
they
goes on.
they were like the buddy comedy for quite a while.
Yeah.
They became
Yeah.
like the new Laurel and Hardy. Like,
And that was
most
so-
definitely.
it was so cool
I mean,
because you
Bustin'
could-
Loose was one of my favorite movies ever, dude. When they-
That must have been when my
doing
mom
the-
wasn't letting
yeah.
me have TV.
well, most of those came out, quite honestly,
'Cause they
by the
could
time
take-
you were about 4.
They could take
Oh,
punches.
no, I was just
So,
I
yeah.
wouldn't notice.
Like, I remember seeing Bustin' Loose when I was like 8 in the theater, something like that. So you would have been about
Ah.
3.
yeah, no.
You
No
know,
TV.
but and that
went with
doesn't
Dad?
belie Julie's
Probably
age
not
on air. Everybody,
Ooh. How old was she again now?
It's not a secret. I'm 39.
Dun, 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 dun. Whoa, we're the same age. That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
All right.
but
Got that out of the way.
It's interesting.
The things you learn after
Even
7 months.
like, have y'all seen Orville?
Oh, it's so good.
Redenbacher?
It's all right.
It's like such a sweet
The right
homage
brothers?
to Star
popcorn?
Wars. Or Star Trek.
There you
whatever.
go.
Yeah, I like
Like,
it. It's like
it's-
cheeky fun with
It's
it.
the music, it's there. But like just the other day, like I've been watching it on Hulu. Amy and I watched it on Hulu, and there were 3 episodes released.
Hulu? What's a Hulu?
It's like a
Hulu.
Netflix.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
I know what Hulu
It's like a Netflix, but you don't have to chill.
It's one of the Netflix.
Yeah, you're not
But all
obligated
of
to
the
chill
Netflix.
when you Hulu though, Steve.
Oh, see, that's why I don't get that.
There's no Hulu
The
until
things you
Hulu
don't
Hang.
see on the podcast, Dean.
You do Hulu.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
It's-
People Netflix and choose.
You don't want to know.
I like the VHS.
You don't know what the
and-
real Hulu is.
You can have a moment watching Law and Order on Hulu.
Yeah, yeah,
Brings the
yeah.
moment together.
Amy, Amy,
surprised you caught that. That was
Amy
cool.
follows this Twitter
I
group.
stole that, though.
That
It
is
was not
hilarious.
mine.
I need to have her start posting stuff from it on the Dudes and Beer Twitter, because it's literally just like this. They come up, they take like still frames of Tuda Willow from SVU and just put like the most random shit in it. Like, yeah, they call it pancaking. It's when little girls use flour instead of cocaine. You know, like
Holy shit, what are you watching?
What are you watching?
Because, you know, like Ice-T just has like these stone cold lines in SVU and stuff, but it's like
Oh, my God.
they take just this one still frame of Tudawolo and like give him like the most twisted fucking thing in the world to say.
At what point
You know,
is he not
they
a
call
gangster
it,
anymore?
They call it circus freaking. It's when 2 people are dangling from a wire and then you choke yourself. What the fuck is that? It's wrong as
So
hell.
he walks
But
into a
hilarious.
scene while they're trying to figure it out, and he's like,
no.
"Oh yeah, I got this already, man."
If you watch SVU, I mean, I just call it murder rape. I don't even call
Yeah,
it
that's
SVU.
basically what
I
it
ask
is.
Amy all the time, like, you want to watch some murder rape?
Well, I wouldn't put it that way.
That's pretty much what it is.
Right.
But
When I was at your house, that's all it was. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Chris's house. Like, let's go to Chris's house.
Yeah.
Murder, rape, abound.
Well, I did just finish The Sopranos for the 4th time.
Oh, so
nice.
good.
Terrible ending. Great show.
Yeah,
I like
horrible
it.
ending, great show. Thank you.
They're doing
Yeah.
the same thing with Game of Thrones. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
No, they are not.
Yes, they
I mean,
are.
they did kind of.
Have you not watched the last season? It's
I
like
know.
everything that the fans say they want
Bring
to
it
see.
in, bring it in, bring it in.
Every time the
Talk
fans
about it.
say, "Oh, we want to see them riding dragons." Oh, well, let's just put a bunch of people on dragons.
Right.
Sure.
Oh, I want to
Okay.
see whatever. Like, oh, hey, I want to see him come back to life. He can't be dead. Spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah.
You can't do
More
that.
people are caught
You
up.
can't do that. It's just
Yeah.
I
The
like
minute
that there was no concept of time this season, too. It's like, hey, quick, go get Daenerys because we're stuck on this rock. She's like 9 days away, and 15 minutes later, there she is.
magic.
No,
She's on
they sent a
it.
fucking
Okay, hold
pigeon.
on, man. I'm a
No,
Dungeons
they
and Dragons
sent a
player, yo, and a
pigeon.
dragon is fucking fast as
But
shit.
they sent a pigeon from the rock to
Yeah.
9 days away. You think the pigeon can get there in
Yes.
45 minutes?
Not
Raven.
45 minutes,
Yeah,
no.
it was like 45 minutes later.
Yeah, but you gotta understand that even within an episode, you're talking days of a
but
span.
Normally,
Days
yes.
of a
In this
span.
one, though, they're in a rock, and there's people here.
Yeah.
And then they send the pigeon, and the
I'm
people
with
are
you.
like,
But what if it went to
here.
Bran first? I mean,
I'm
that
with
guy
you.
can talk to any tree in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe, but they should have shown that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've been completely. The story went from being, hey, we're all neutral, we're all individuals, we all have our own story and plots, nobody's good or evil, to, oh my god, I hate every single one of the Lannisters, but everything's cool with everybody else.
I only hate Cersei.
Well, that's sexist and rude.
Not
Yeah.
that she's a
Good
lady. 'cause
God.
She's awful. Sorry, I have that pretty
I'm not
white
even
disease.
going to use the.
She
I'm
is
not
like
even going to
second
use
mother
the
of the year.
colloquial term for what you should be called.
That's
I'm
you
just
next
playing.
Tuesday?
She
That's
lost
what
all her
Cersei
babies.
is.
She should be angry.
She
Things
should
happen.
be. She
And now
should
she's
be.
got another inbred baby. It's a problem.
I
Yeah.
feel like maybe she doesn't.
Everybody has inbred babies in this show. Good God, it ended with freaking
I know.
incest.
Yeah.
It ended with like a, hey, how you doing, sexy incest scene? Oh, yeah, come
it
here,
was
auntie.
pretty sexy though.
Hey, I'm not
Really
going to
did.
lie.
I
It was
like,
all
yeah,
right.
give me
It
some of
was
that
all
Jon
right.
Snow.
I'd have been there with my camera, and I wouldn't have been ashamed. I'd have been like, what's up?
You guys were
Shut
focused
up.
on that,
How
not the
you
fact
doing?
that Tyrion was sitting there listening to that going on. I mean, that's
That's
creeper.
all right.
That's
Well,
creeper status.
That's all right.
little-
It's
little
okay.
shady
He's
there.
into
There,
it.
it's all
Whatever,
right.
dude. Whatever. He's Tyrion. Let the
He's
man-
above reproach.
Yeah, let the man get his. Let it. The things that have happened to that man. Come
Yeah,
on.
he's all right.
Come on.
He's all right. If they
I'm-
cared, they could turn the music up.
I'm kind of like that with Reek. You know, it's like, hey,
No, fuck
I don't give a
Reek,
No,
man.
damn.
Rick is
Fuck
terrible.
Reek.
He needs to be gone.
I don't give a
He's
damn.
done.
I don't give a
He's done.
damn.
Save the sister. End it there.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodline's already ended. He just needs to end it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
he'll die.
That's true. It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's gonna happen. Yeah.
good. I like that we're
And
talking about Game of Thrones.
I'll admit the fact that I'm down with it. I have never actually read a single book of Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna lie,
I read the
That's-
first
and I don't
two.
care.
That's okay.
I don't care.
Yeah,
I like the
they're
show
boring.
for what it is.
They're long.
Oh no, I consider it like reading fucking Jaws. I did it.
You
But
read
I will
Jaws?
watch the movie from this point forth. And granted, have a totally deeper understanding of what actually happens in the movie.
So do you get the same effect of that like awkward cello music that you hear? Like,
It's
like when you're reading, you're
it's
like, oh
in
man, John's approaching in your head. You're like,
parentheses in the
dun,
book.
Well, no, no.
dun,
I mean, there's...
It's actually written
There's-
duh.
Yeah, da-da.
lack of combos. I don't understand. So it's just dun 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 dun.
You want to see some creepy shit?
No.
If you want to see something creepy,
Batman.
take that soundtrack and put it into Dragon Translate.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna say play it backwards, but that's
No.
cool,
There's
too.
such a thing as dragon.
Well, yeah. You know, Dragon software, like the dictation software.
Oh, okay.
I was
But
like,
literally,
oh, man.
whenever
I thought
I
you meant,
worked,
like, Google Translate.
whenever I worked on the radio, our intro was the Imperial March. Dum bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-dum. And then the
remember that
intro
radio
would
show.
start.
Oh,
And
That's
then
the
the
music
host
that I
would
hear
come
when
in.
my bosses
But
watch
literally, whenever I would take that MP3 file and throw it into Dragon Translate to make a document of the show that we could then search, like by date, what he said, shit like that. Just like quick search. Did he say this on this date?
No.
You know, Alt F, this and that. You know, but literally, Dragon Translate read the music of the Imperial March as bum 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 bum. Like it spelled it out. It was absolutely hilarious. So yeah, like throw some music into Dragon software sometime for dictation.
49 bums.
It's pretty interesting what happens.
I thought you were going to tell me that you spoke Daedric or something like that.
Yeah, right.
The guy speaks language of the dragons.
Yeah.
New hobbies every day. What do you know?
So, what kind of shows other than Game of Thrones are you into? We were talking about The Shield before the show.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of The Shield. I'm a big fan of Sopranos. Right now is probably my fourth go through on The Shield. But
yeah, I have no mid-range, so it either has to be like a super deep show,
okay,
or it has to be super stupid, like something Family Guy wise or something like
Okay.
Oh,
that.
I like Family Guy.
I love Family Guy, but I can sit there and just like zone out, like not even focus on anything and just start laughing my butt
Well,
off.
and see, that was my thing about Orville the other day. And spoiler alert for people that, yeah, number one, it's kind of meh.
I liked it.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm not down in it.
I'm not sure
like,
what Orville
I will have it.
Fokker.
It is
The
the new Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, that
show.
one with
The
the
Star
spaceship.
Trek.
Never mind. Yeah, I
But
get
it
it.
wasn't.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be funny.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
But it's
I
not.
haven't watched it.
Go ahead, Julie. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Brian and I started watching because we thought it was going to be funny like Family Guy, but it's not. He is like obsessed with Star Trek, so he
Dude,
wanted to
Right.
make a show
That's what I heard.
that was like
They spent
like
half
that.
an episode making
Which-
weed jokes.
Yeah, I mean, it's if Family Guy
Spoiler
was
alert.
obsessed with Star Trek,
No, it's not. People have real issues,
Hey, what are
Dean.
you laughing at?
People in this world have real problems with marijuana.
So basically.
I like the way Julie laughs at me.
They're like those two aliens on that cartoon heavy metal movie.
Yeah,
They're, snorting cocaine or something. Except it's weed. I guess I got that.
Yeah, it is funny though. They drink a lot, they smoke a lot of weed.
They
But
do.
so their Seth MacFarlane is
They
for
make
sure
edibles in their
Why can't
replicas.
you joke
Which is
about coke on
awesome.
TV?
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's the first thing I do.
But
Yeah. Oh, that's
I
right.
feel like they did a good job
why.
marrying Star Trek with Seth MacFarlane.
It's been all right. I found it really interesting that like the third episode, and don't get me wrong, like I watched Voyager, I watched quite a bit of Star Trek. I wasn't a huge fan
No
of,
way.
and don't get me wrong, folks, I was not a huge fan of Next Generation. I'm not a big Next Gen fan.
mean like Picard?
I love the original stuff.
Yeah. No, I was right there with you. When it transitioned, I was like, what the fuck is this?
I love Deep Space Nine. I love Discovery.
I didn't watch those.
I love all that kind of stuff. I wasn't a huge fan of the Bacula stuff either. But
The time jumpy guy?
yeah,
I liked that show. I think I was
You know
allowed to
what?
watch that one.
it was
so-
all right.
Yeah.
It was okay.
And
But it
even
was
if made it
it
through
was a
the
little
radar.
softball pitch.
You know
Oh, yeah,
why?
for
You know
sure.
why it was called Deep Space Nine, right? Because Gene Roddenberry chose
Yeah.
9 because of the 9 gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know
Yeah.
that.
I only watched the original.
It kind of goes deep on
Shatner.
that. There's a deep little deal on that.
But,
I like the Shatner ones.
but for me, it was the fact of like the
my
third
God.
episode. We had barely gotten to the point where we know anybody yet. And then suddenly it's like, wait a minute. There's a gay relationship going on.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
Wait a minute. This was like the third episode of Orville.
Okay.
I think we knew that anyway.
Sure, I mean, it was there, but then it was suddenly
Is there a
like
hot chick on there?
everything became about like having to
Yeah,
get
there is a hot chick on there.
Hey, there is.
Yay.
Absolutely. There's
I
always
want-
a hot chick.
I gotta watch it.
Still the red shirts all die? Like, am I going to get something
No.
to laugh at?
I haven't
not
seen a
yet.
single red shirt death.
I know. Not
Yeah.
yet, because Alara is the red
That's-
shirt.
yeah,
and
that's
she's
been
like
mine.
the third in command.
Yeah.
or
It's gotta be a
whatever, yeah.
cheesy death, like a.
Well, when those red shirts rarely die, it's normally
Yeah, the
because
random person
the
that
red
comes
shirt
down
is
with you.
engineering. Those are like
Yeah,
just
they always
the
get
dudes.
blown up.
Scotty.
Yeah,
Have they?
like,
I mean,
Scotty's
the engineering
engineering.
bay has blown up several times, but I don't think anybody's
engineering is
touched it.
always
Looks
blown.
immaculate. I would buy one of those refurbished. I don't care.
Yeah.
Refurbished. Right. Awesome.
But yeah, I don't know. I haven't
So
really
you have an
fallen in
issue
love.
with the fact that they just had that?
Well, no, it was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Like they went
Suddenly,
very dramatic on this last one.
yeah, no, it was extraordinarily dramatic, and it was like, wait a minute, like the baby has to have a sex change, and
And
you know,
then I was so surprised how
it
it
was like,
ended.
what the hell is this? Like, I don't even know this character yet.
Yeah.
Like, this is more than uncomfortable right now because I'm like, hey, come into this season 3 when I'm invested in a character's life and
Right,
history.
because now every time I see them, I'm gonna be like, "You sons of bitches."
Yeah, it was like, whoa, this came really, really quick.
But it was a good episode, though.
I like you, and we've been out a couple times, but you didn't need to swing by work.
How do you know where I work? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, like, how do you even know where I work? Did we even talk about that? Exactly. And that's kind of how I felt, where it was like, whoa, that was just kind of like, that was some left field right there. It was still good.
I have to see that shit.
But
yeah, it's good.
That's
it's all right.
sounding.
It's some good stuff. It's funny, but... to me, it was one of those like, wow.
Seth MacFarlane hasn't always been totally, completely, right in his brain.
Well, I think it's really more the fact, and Amy even was saying
okay.
it like,
it's okay.
Any man who obsesses with show tunes that much has something wrong with it.
Yeah.
Hey now,
I mean,
some shows are great.
I can rip off some Valjean for you real quick. All right.
Okay. I'm sorry.
just
Don't make me go with Les Mis.
Just don't get in a leotard and you're fine.
No, I can't dance. She went to my wedding. She can attest to this.
I don't know.
We were all
God, I hope she got
shithoused
some
at that
film of
wedding.
that.
No.
Two left feet, dun 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 dun.
I can dance all right. But I definitely dance a lot better after I've been drinking a whole lot.
Well, at least you think you do. So.
No, I do. I do.
Stumbling with
because
style.
then I don't
Right,
care.
totally.
I don't care.
Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony dancing.
And when
like
I
that,
don't
you're-
care, that's the best dancing ever. That's like
He's twerking. He's on the wrong side of the twerk.
He doesn't work.
yeah. He's quirting. He's quirting.
He zigged when he should have zagged. He zigged.
But yeah, it's interesting. There have been a lot of really wild shows that have been jumping off this year.
I like Orville. I was pleasantly surprised.
I've been pleasantly surprised by it.
Am I
It's
the
been a
only
good
one in this
background
room that
show.
watches Rick and Morty?
Oh my god! How good has this season been?
See, I've been trying to get you to watch
You
it.
would
When-
love it.
when do you like
oh
it?
my god, you would love
Oh,
it.
you
It's
would
so
totally do that.
existential
Dude.
and depressing.
I
He
know,
would come to
I
work
can't-
every day.
God.
Get
It has-
Swifty. No.
Right? It's real like the dude's like the
I can't do the animation, man.
Dude.
You gotta give it a
Oh,
chance.
Kills me inside.
You know what?
Good.
When I first saw it, at first I was
Kills
like,
me.
"What is this crap?" And then I was like,
I like
yeah,
some
I was like,
Adventure
holy shit.
Time.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I like
no,
Adventure
you should
Time.
try
Dude.
it because Brian watched the entire series straight through. The
You
other
would
day, 'cause he
totally
watched
love
one
it.
episode, and
It's
he's
gonna
like,
be your best.
"That was really good." And then he watched another one. Like he's
Yeah.
obsessed, and now he's seen them all at least twice.
If you sat down and
Okay,
gave
I'll have to
Rick
check
and
it out.
Morty 5 minutes or less,
Yeah.
it would be your favorite one, guaranteed.
It's so good. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Even the last one was
The dude's a guy. The dude's a
Crazy.
scientist. The dude's
I
a
don't-
scientist, and that's all he rattles off is scientist.
just
shit.
like
I
a
don't-
drunk scientist who's like
yeah.
so fucking dark.
As long
And it's
as I
good
don't
shit.
have to like be on any reefer or anything to
No.
get it.
no,
Listen, if you
no,
really wanna get
you'll
into
get
it-
it.
I don't want to
It's
get it.
just
I don't want to get
really
any. I don't
dark.
want to get like tied up with any reefer
The
addicts.
dude
or
rattles
anything,
off
man,
like
all right?
real scientific shit.
You can
like
watch
real
it
stuff.
straight as a church mouse.
Oh,
If you like stuff like that
Yeah.
and you just want to give it an idea, just like without even having to watch a whole episode, they did, and it's really controversial. They did the state of Georgia versus Denver Fenton Allen, and they redid it in Rick and Morty's voice and also added the comedy to it,
Yeah.
and it is friggin' hilarious. It's
How
like
crazy.
this is a very serious thing. And
Right.
It's really jacked up, but
Yeah.
it's so funny you can't feel bad for laughing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean you can, but you're wrong.
And Rick and Morty are so freaking huge. I think it was last week or less than that.
2 weeks ago they were here at
they
Alamo.
Yeah, and I mean, people. There was a line around the
Oh,
block. Yeah,
I tried.
And
Didn't work.
there's still parties going on. They're like Rick and Morty. I get these
Yeah.
posts Rick and Morty pool parties and shit like that. I get
Yeah.
like recently, and people are freaking like they love that cartoon.
There's drinking games. Every time Rick says "damn it, Morty," you take a shot. And
Oh
it's
God,
jacked up in every episode.
I've never been one for the drinking game, and I guess that's just because I'm one that can keep pace to begin with.
You don't like politics? It's best drink.
and it's all based.
Oh,
This
no,
I know.
This cartoon is all based
That
on
got me
science
through the election
and
season.
scientific fact stuff.
It's just blind
he
drunk.
would totally fucking.
Oh
do it.
no, this show got me through the election season.
God, just taking a shot. Like I had that drinking game bingo thing, and I would just
Yeah.
drink
Oh, yeah.
and cry,
Yeah.
drink and cry.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
Give me
it
the
was-
Johnny Carson song.
Well, yeah. And we did a lot of that. We did a lot of that here over the last year with politics and everything else. And we've got some interesting guests coming up.
We do.
On
We've got
stuff.
the president of the Central Texas Democratic Women. She's
Yep.
coming on. And also the president of Immunize Austin is coming on.
Nice.
Talking about vaccinations.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the dogs. When I say the dogs.
What is it? CADW, Central
Yeah.
Austin Cattle, I guess would be if you
Yeah.
needed to give it an
Yeah, if you had to give it an
They
anagram.
clip that little ear on it. Oh, wait, is that the same
No,
thing?
no.
No, that would be doxing,
No,
right?
yeah.
That's not doxing. Doxing is when you're
Oh, no, it's a tail.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's also doxing.
There's-
Yeah.
When you like make fun of people on the
Yeah.
internet and show
I didn't
them
know they
where
do the
live so
tail
people
for
can,
something too. So they fuck up the ear, they fuck up the tail.
Well, and that's something that's been
They
like.
gotta make it unattractive to the other animals.
I know,
I
right?
think
We
animals
were
That's
talking
the
about the
whole
show
point.
even about before the show about crazy conversations that happen on the internet, and you've been dragged into a couple, Julie.
Ooh.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then I talk about the weather and I get unfriended.
I know.
I saw that post.
I know.
I saw the post.
That's the thing. Like, I can start some
Was it Dean?
crazy. I can start some crazy threads, and most of the time, people know that like I'm just making some kind of sarcastic remark. I'm just making some kind of point. Like my one the other day was about the NFL, and hey, I love watching the Super Bowl. I love it.
I love football.
The
man.
Super Bowl is my jam because
Jam.
I know
Your
people
Space
that
Jam?
are like actively out there running the tech for that shit, and I love it.
Same,
But for me, I can go to somebody's house like Julie's house. I can enjoy any football game. I have no real pony in the race as far as who's winning.
Right, me too.
Granted, hey, for me,
I
it
just
would have been
wanna
the
watch a good
Oilers,
game.
all right?
That's all I
And
want.
Don't
Oilers.
get me wrong. Hey, amongst any other team in the country, I guarantee you there was no indoctrination like Houston Oilers.
And yet,
Every single
there was no money either. So
Every-
they're not
And then they
there
ran
anymore.
away.
What the hell does that mean?
Every single Monday morning, if you lived in Houston, this
Wow.
is what happened
What
in
happened?
school.
What?
You did the Pledge of Allegiance, and then you sang the Houston Oilers song.
Nice.
Whoa!
It
You
was
sang
straight
Houston
up
Oilers.
football indoctrination,
You
son.
guys-
I ain't even lying.
Scientology shit over there.
Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers, number one. Like, I ain't even lying. It's still in my head.
Since they are no longer a team.
It's still
Yeah.
in my
Is
head.
that how the song goes?
But yeah, I'm not even
Is that
lying.
the whole song?
No. I'm not doing the whole song. But quite literally, it's
Oh my
it's
God.
like, and we had like some. My dad had season tickets. I went with him for years. I loved it.
Come on, son.
And,
We're
and
on
then I
CD
started
orders.
finding out about about people with encephalopathy and shit like that.
The hell
and
is
like
that?
I know. I feel so guilty every time I watch, but I love football.
like Aaron Hernandez even. Like he
Yeah.
hung himself in prison, and then when they
Surprising.
did his autopsy, they found out he had
His brain
encephalopathy
is
too.
like cheese because he had so many
Yeah, like you
concussions.
wonder why these people
The
are
fuck?
doing crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like Junior
Yeah.
Seau, when he shot himself in the chest,
I've got his fucking cards, dude.
left a note.
I got his rookie
that
card.
said like, I shot myself in the chest so you could examine my brain. There's something wrong with me.
Guilty.
Holy shit.
And when I started hearing stuff like
Yeah.
that, that's when my like concept of just like rah football went away. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
deny that. I'm not going to say that that's not the truth. I can go to anybody's house and enjoy watching a football game. I got no problem. I know what the calls are. I know. I don't like. I'm not I was never
It's
a
like-
huge stat freak. You know, I wouldn't like play fantasy
It's like
football.
that
And I
red-
probably.
0 for 3 on fantasy.
You know-
football.
You know, it's
And
kind
see,
of.
like,
Burn.
it blows my
I know.
mind that you're a fantasy football player.
You
that
are a
are
fantasy football player?
Oh, dude,
I won
she
my
is.
first season,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
this year I'm
she's
0 for 3, but I've lost every
She's a
single one by
monster,
less
dude.
than 2 points.
Julie's a beast, bro.
That's pretty
I love
cool.
Julie's a
football.
beast.
Wow.
She is. Yeah, and that's what's funny.
Holy
it's like
shit, I didn't know.
she's one of those that like
'Cause I don't
she
get
breaks
it.
the mold because not everybody
Maybe it's like
Yeah, I'm not- I have a
realizes.
vagina and I like football.
Exactly. What's that about? I don't understand.
Yeah,
It's a
the-
whole
I know.
new world.
yeah, that unicorn. Yeah, that's right.
Like that's like finding a magic carpet that
Yeah,
flies.
Ringling Brothers.
I have that too.
Ringling Brothers actually had a unicorn, but it was actually a go with the fused horns. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you know, you are one of the many ladies that I know, and I posted the other night about being in Vegas and literally seeing this woman like
Get in a fight
get
over
accosted by two dudes. She was
What?
a Broncos fan, and I'm trying to. I think they
what
were
happened?
playing Green Bay or something like that.
Oh, that's a big rival.
And quite
I
literally,
think.
they were like.
I'm like, I think.
No,
you're
not
right
really.
now.
They were like a
Get the
table
names
or
off.
so away, and we were just sitting there eating, and she's like, "Yeah, all right," and like they turned around and like got in her face, like two grown ass men in this woman's face. Like,
They were probably losing.
Like,
It's okay.
they're-
They're allowed to be there
oh,
because
yeah,
she's
yeah,
still
yeah.
going to have that win.
yeah.
She's going to sit there and be like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. She's
there
gonna
are
still.
like 8 of us in the bar. It's not like all of us don't see what you're doing, asshead.
Yeah, acid. You acid.
fans of sports,
They realize it after.
they're not smart people. My cousins,
No.
they're rivals. My cousins are Chargers fans, and they
Oh, yeah.
posted this big fancy photo of them at Broncos Stadium watching the rivalry game of Chargers versus Broncos. It's a big happy photo. And at the very end of the game, we won, and I see a picture of my cousin's wife, and she has this big, long yellow stain across her chest. And I texted him, like, what happened? He goes, well, she cheered when we got a touchdown and someone threw a footlong at her. And I'm like, man,
Jeez.
all around fans. And like, she's there. She knows more about football than he does. And they were there
Yeah.
for her. Like, that was their
Yeah.
anniversary thing. It's like,
Damn.
Yeah.
Broncos. No.
Get that foot long.
Yeah.
How about that
Hey,
foot
free
long?
food.
long?
Free food. No.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, even it
This
just
is a lot of money to
They
have
should have
foot
$20
long.
hot dog. No.
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw my fucking hot dog. I don't care if it's my favorite team.
To me, as somebody who studied, as someone who studied psychology,
$10.
sociology, and philosophy, as my studies, sports in general have just this interesting concept behind them. Like when I first moved to Maine was when the Sox broke the curse of the Bambino.
Oh man, that
No.
was such a good day.
It was
I
amazing.
cried for like
I
3
saw
hours.
it. I was there.
I love Boston.
But I also saw the aftermath, and I saw like a woman get killed by rubber bullets. Like,
Jesus Christ.
Like for
What?
some reason, people went out and like rioted in the streets because their team won. And
You
it's
get
like,
riots when it's
what's up
bad
with that?
and when it's
you
good.
don't you don't
Yeah.
necessarily see that with the NFL. Interestingly enough, like
That's kinda
you don't-
weird, yeah.
You
Well,
don't
the
really,
NHL does. Canada
The-
dies.
oh.
every
Oh,
other
my
day.
God.
NHL,
Yeah.
NHL,
Hockey's
NBA,
banned.
like baseball,
Yeah, NBA
like
will.
they'll go out and
Yeah.
flip cars over and
Yeah.
set them on
Were
fire.
there really riots in Boston? I do not remember that.
Yeah, there was like a woman
That's
that was
weird how
straight
the
up
NFL
killed.
does.
For sports.
That's weird
Yeah.
how NFL
More
don't
than
know.
once for more than just sports.
No,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, there was
is
a
so
woman that
weird.
was killed by a
Boston's
rubber
used to
bullet,
it. No.
and I don't think she was like part of the
They
riot.
shot her in the temple.
But
Right,
yeah,
she was
like
just
she got
excited.
smacked
I know
in the head
exactly
with a
where.
rubber bullet.
I bet you're
and
probably
she
right.
went
It had to
down.
be
yeah,
somewhere.
right. In a
Mhm.
critical area.
No, it was the
Like
temple.
lights out.
She got shot in the head in the temple.
Vulcan
And,
pinch.
Yeah,
Just took a really
but
dark turn.
Yeah.
and it just blows
Yeah.
my mind. Like
Like it's
and
still.
to me, it is the example of the across the board raging mentality
Pride.
of humanity.
To get behind something.
Well, no, it's the herd concept, and
Apparently, they also did it in 2007. When
Yeah.
they won again.
Yeah.
Go Boston! Go Boston!
yes, socks, yeah,
Going.
burn it down,
I've got
socks.
It's all right. They got the money to
Got
rebuild
socks
up
I
there.
ain't washed in 2 weeks. Hide those, motherfucker.
I'm gonna set Yaki Way on fire, yo.
No. They would never.
I know.
You smell good.
But you know what I'm saying.
No, they'll
What do
just
you
go
think? You're better than me.
beat people up in the streets. It's probably a Boston riot. It's just people jumping each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe knocking over some cars.
But it's interesting to me how like that always happens. There's just this like mass mob mentality that goes on with the victory of some shit like that.
Yep.
Like they come
Yep.
out of the stadium and
and
just
then
like
just tear shit
turn
up.
over the
like,
town.
like
And
come
it's
on,
like,
guys.
isn't this
No.
like This is your town.
But yeah.
Well, you
Maybe
take a
maybe
mass.
It doesn't happen as much with football because it's a random location where the Super Bowl happens. You
Could
know,
be.
because like
Could
I was
be.
there when the
Yeah.
Patriots won, and things were very calm in Houston because nobody in fucking Houston cares about
We
the
don't give a
Patriots.
damn
you
about
know?
the Patriots.
So the
It's so
Boston
professional,
fans
I think.
cared, but there was
It depends on the
maybe
team.
12,000 of us. I mean,
Yeah.
I bet if the Raiders went to the Super Bowl and won, you'd see some carnage.
Right.
the world will never know.
We're not in LA, but we're going to destroy everything.
What about if the Jets?
We're gonna riot like we were. We're gonna riot like we were in LA. Yeah.
I know the Raiders for sure.
When
Yeah.
you're
Little music.
Yeah, the Raiders.
You're a jet all the way. See? She started it, dude.
She did.
I told you.
I remember when Chicago
Show
Bulls.
songs, they're in my head.
Chicago Bulls was winning like crazy in the NBA with Michael Jordan back in the day, and there was riots.
Way back.
It was like,
Oh, yeah.
but it was like they were happy, but it was how
How the fuck do you
fucking
riot when you're happy? How do you riot when you're happy? Like, how is that an appropriate expression of
I've
happiness?
been like super drunk and seen a car in front of you. You're like,
Yeah.
I want to keep going, but you're in my way. No.
Fuck yeah! Never
So-
in my life, and
It's
believe
right,
me,
right.
It's the adrenaline of the mass.
I'm gonna make
And
some.
a lot of people.
I'm gonna make some hard
You get 30 people, you
fucking.
can
And
flip
so
a
if
car.
you
Real
can get somebody to
confessions to
control
you,
that
Dean.
big mass, which is some
I made-
idiot like, yeah, we should do this
Like,
or whatever.
I made my own gunpowder
Yeah.
as a kid,
Like, I
all
love
kinds
that.
of shit. All
Let's
right,
go out here.
but
and
never
do that.
once
Okay,
was it
whatever,
like,
just go.
I'm so happy.
And one idiot followed
I'm gonna
the other
go
one.
burn some shit down.
Then you weren't doing it right. When I had
I
fireworks
guess.
as a kid, I would peel those off and I'm like, that tree has to go. It
Oh
doesn't
no.
belong there.
I did that all the time,
Oh,
but it
okay.
wasn't out of like sheer joy that I got joy out of doing it. There was a giddy little thrill. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. It's got to be a thrill.
But
The thrill is gone.
But it definitely wasn't like I'm so happy I'm gonna go blow some shit up. That's not how it equated for me. You see?
Yeah,
like,
I don't
I'm so
understand that either,
I'm
like-
so happy I'm gonna go turn a car over and set it on fire.
No,
You know?
I'm so happy. I'm gonna like cheer and get drunker and hug people.
Yeah,
And help people.
yeah. You know, like I don't know. There's just this. There
That's an
is.
invasion of my privacy. Don't
There-
hug me.
Yeah.
My personal space.
It was weird. A lot of people like crushed in and we're all hugging after the win, and it is weird because we do live very separated from each other.
Yeah.
And at that moment, there was no
Oh, yeah,
separation
no,
from
there's-
each other. You know,
But
it was fine.
I lived in Maine for 5 years. There's no hugging.
no.
There's
There's
no
no
hugging.
hugging.
Oh no,
Too
New
cold. You gotta
Englanders
get
are.
warm. What are you
Oh,
talking
man.
about? No.
No.
hugging.
So if I called up
No.
if I called to the bar looking for
I don't
Amanda
even think I
Huggins,
hugged my
she don't exist.
grandparents when I was
It's
growing up.
hey.
Yeah.
No Amanda
Hey.
Huggins.
Hey.
That's how my dad.
Hey, yeah.
And then like good handshake like that.
Yeah.
Don't shake my hand. I'm
Yeah,
like,
like, even
39
Amy's mom, it'll be like,
Hey,
it'll
how
be
you
like,
doing,
hey,
daughter?
yeah,
Totally,
yeah,
like,
yeah, okay, I'm done. You know,
Hey, Dad,
yeah,
what the fuck?
yeah. Well, and it is
I'm
definitely
not your business partner.
It is definitely that difference.
Yeah,
Whereas in
maybe.
Texas,
Maybe.
it's like, give me a handshake. Come here, you bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that.
You know.
discussion.
Bear hug.
Well,
But
is that
even
kinda
the
like
New Englanders were
Drinking
hugging
juice in the hood. Doesn't he
Yeah.
pat him down as he's hugging him? Yeah, he pats him down, you know. It's kind of like he's getting groped, you know.
But yeah, I mean, for me, sports in that right, especially with the NFL, stuff like that, like they are such an absolute measure of society. It's such an interesting study just to see how fans relate to each other. To see, like, it's a social experiment in and of itself.
But I think Dean's right. I don't think there's ever been, a riot or anything like that after an NFL game
No.
yet.
No, that's what I was
Or
saying.
maybe that was
earlier.
your-
that was
your
me.
point.
Yeah,
Not in like 40 years.
not that
Yeah.
I'm aware of.
Nothing that's
Yeah.
like super serious. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking like back in the day, like Chicago rioted, and then
Oh, did they?
Green
I
Bay
had no
rioted
idea.
Their first time they won. And it was-
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, but
Really?
you're talking about before they were major cities, they were small enough where it was like, hey, you used to be a college team. Let me just
Yeah.
make you a professional team.
Like
This is
that.
when they
Oh,
burned
like
down
that
all of
then.
one farmhouse that was there, and then the rest
Oh,
of the
and-
stuff came from there. So.
Hey, I am like more than familiar with Vince Lombardi's speech, "What It Takes to Be Number One." That was quite literally like I said. Houston Oilers.
Goddamn.
That was there. But not only
I got
that,
one moon
my
card.
dad was like
The moon.
super salesman with his company. He worked for Cooper Tire for years, and he always won like regional salesman of the year, stuff like that. And one year as a trophy, he got a plaque. It was a decent sized plaque. That was what it takes to be number one, like the first Super Bowl speech from, Vince Lombardi. And that's what my brother and I had to read before we went, we spent every other weekend with my dad. But, time to go play your YMCA basketball game or your flag football game, read it. Read it out loud. And to this day, now I have one up in my kitchen, and every time I pass by it, it's like, what's it take to be number one? There is no room for second place. There is no room for that. To be second place is just to be the first loser.
Right, pretty much.
And it's a harsh reality, but whenever you actually start breaking it down, there are some real, actual, straight-up rules to life within that harsh reality, where he's talking about, warriors out on the field fighting for their honor, and that's what we're doing on a daily basis. Even whenever you go into work on a daily basis, you are going in to do what you think is right.
Yeah, right. That's what I do.
Go to work.
I go in as a warrior.
I hope so, anyway.
I go in as General Patton.
Damn.
And that's why they don't like me.
Steven slings some pizza with authority.
That's why they don't. That's why they. I'll be yelling at them, dude. I'll be like, and I'll be fucking lit, and that's why they don't like it. I'm like, hey, it was needed to be done.
But yeah,
if this customer wasn't happy, then we're fucked.
And that's where, for me, team sports, stuff like that, absolutely instills some great principles in children. It's absolutely fantastic. Where the fanaticism with some people comes from, I don't know. And I know people that are not fanatic people that are fanatic with their team.
Basically, it's all they know, right? That one thing kind of deal.
Well, it's all they care about.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I've known a dude that's literally broke his television.
No, Richard.
No, not me.
Oh, I don't know.
I
have no idea about that.
I'm still paying on my TV. Shit, fuck no, I ain't paying. I'm not bringing that bitch.
No, I know people that have.
I'm still paying on that bitch.
Yeah, there's a lack of camaraderie now, and
You're still paying on your TV.
It's really bad.
Yeah,
you used to have people
that may or may not be true.
The color of your skin, your sexual orientation, your political, religious beliefs. None of that means shit. Because we're here to watch sports and we're going to kick ass.
Yeah,
they brought politics into it, and now you have I'm telling you, a riot's going to happen with one of these smaller teams. You get a really lousy team like the Browns, you get someone like
I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about
the Texans. You get a team that's really come close. A team that's really so far away that's going to win. And you can go to a bar now and watch sports, and it's don't sit near them. They're weird. We're the same team, but don't. And
the bar is where it's
going
to kind of maybe build up more.
It used to be I don't care, dude. Hey, we're drinking beers, we're cheering, we just got a touchdown. Hell yeah.
Right.
It's not like that anymore.
No, not anymore.
It's really sad. I mean, sports is kind of taken an opinion of its own. It used to be that you would watch the athletes, and I'm not saying there's not important messages to be heard, whether it's the players kneeling, it's the players coming out talking about their own experiences, things like that. All that needs to be heard. It needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be taken care of. But I'm paying my cable bill so I can watch some fucking football.
Yeah.
And you're still getting to watch the football because that literally takes 30 seconds of the game.
Sure.
That's not true. You have 30 seconds of the game at the beginning of the clock, and then you have all throughout the game is, oh, hey, look, here's so-and-so sitting on the sidelines still. Maybe he shouldn't have said that. Or, oh, hey, look, there's so-and-so player who disagreed with so-and-so saying that.
And like we were saying before the show.
I just missed a 40-yard run because I'm having to watch so-and-so sitting there.
That sounds like it's more the commentator's faults than the player's faults at that point, because what they were doing is over and done with before the first kickoff ever happens.
For sure.
Jerry Jones. Okay, and I'm not trying to hate the Cowboys.
Do it.
That's all right.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
That's what the show is about.
I have full respect for Dak and Zeke. I love them. I don't like the Cowboys organization. I don't, because of the way they perform. But you have a man who specifically goes out and puts
You are un-American, but that's okay.
He's lying.
Cowboys are my number 2 team.
he puts a letter out to his public that says, if you kneel at my games, you are fired. And then not even a season later,
Jerry Jones did that, right?
Jerry Jones. And now you have a president who makes the foolishness to acknowledge racism as something that's acceptable, which is completely incorrect. But you threaten 40% of Jerry Jones' marketplace, and now he's all, well, crap, I got to take a knee because I don't want to lose my business because the majority of my fans are either Texans, Mexicans, or someone else.
That was a point. Like I said before, I am known for making some inflammatory threads on Facebook. Because quite honestly, like the point of this show is to have these hard conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
It is to bring this stuff up. Right. And I played devil's advocate one day, and, you know, I don't know. If you were to go to work and just randomly stand up and start protesting in the middle of work,
you're fired.
I don't know. I feel like if progressive
even though
if
you're
the Pledge of Allegiance and I knelt during it, my job would not be impacted at all.
But that's because we're a company that's very openly accepting.
30 seconds of my day, if I I had a resist poster at my desk.
The problem, and here's the thing, though. It doesn't, and I'm with you. It doesn't just go with progressive, though.
Resist?
It doesn't just go with progressive, because it goes with progressive, the station that's producing the show for progressive, the people who are giving money to the NFL to put that broadcast on.
Right.
It goes into so many different levels.
Which are nationally
exempt.
And
then, like I brought up, not only that, it goes into the true concept of the slave contract.
They're exempt.
Which is how you're allowed to even behave on behalf of the company. So if anybody's out protesting, and this is just devil's advocate, I don't agree with it at all.
I guess look at your contracts before you sign them.
Yeah, and it's the fact of, because, hey, I go out on shows in, like, Baltimore and shit, and I have to wear a tag on my shirt, and this is the company I'm working for.
Yeah, as long as you wear that shirt, you're representing the company.
But if I'm going to stop off at the bar and have a burger and a beer on my way home, like...
Take your shirt off.
I don't have time to go home, change, and go, and then go back. I just bring a piece of black gaff tape and I put it over the logo.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who the hell I'm working for.
As long as they don't see that fucking resemblance there.
But that's by contract that I cannot represent. Like, I can't be out at the bar in that shirt.
Yeah, our job, we're not allowed to wear, or my old job, progressive stuff and then break the law. Obviously, it's an insurance company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can't be out, like, getting .10 drunk at the bar in a progressive shirt,
right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's technically slave contract. That's a contract that you sign that directs your behavior. And they sign it all the time. If you remember, Dennis Rodman was guilty of breaking his contract all the time for staying out till like 3-4 a.m.
Yes, yeah,
shit like that back in the day. You know, this is nothing.
Depends on
new.
if that's the contract he signed.
And that's the thing, is the fact that this is actually non-news. Like, it has been happening for years. This shit has been happening constantly for years. So, like, what is the big deal about it to me? The only way that it's a big deal is the fact that some dudes are getting paid to play football, and instead they're doing this.
Okay, here we go.
Which they're still doing.
Their football playing time.
But, however, the sponsors don't want to see that. And it's interesting the fact
we'll see if the sponsors want to see it or
not,
because they have an opportunity to pull out. And
but I watched the after game conversations, and I would love to see and hear commentary.
Yeah, and see, I don't watch a lot, but I do watch a lot of the numbers and stuff like Nielsen ratings and things like that. And numbers have gone down, and there was even this statistic this last week of
20%.
One of the biggest players. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, that's what some people say. Some people say the numbers are up, so I don't know.
Yeah, and it's been back and forth on numerous places. Yeah.
Patriots, the numbers were up.
It's based on teams, exactly. And that's what I was explaining to my wife earlier, is you have to understand that there's there are only maybe 3 or 4 games going on major broadcasts. There are actually 20 games going on that weekend. So, they're happening all over the place. And that's not a problem. That's a great thing. And I love the protest. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. But you do have to kind of devil's advocate and look at it from the point of like, hey, wait a minute. If it says
what was that
like,
last game with the
team
Cowboys?
says
Who did
this-
they play? Was it Chiefs? No. It wasn't Chiefs. Was
Last week I whooped them. That was me. I was there. I was at the stadium. It was great.
nice. I was gonna say.
I
That's
saw
just
people walking
yesterday?
down the
No,
street.
not
yeah,
either.
yeah. I mean, they fucking suck. But it was them like standing locked arm in arm, and the other team too.
Yeah.
I forget whichever.
Well, and that's great. Like, you know.
But when it comes
people-
down to that protesting thing with the knee thing and all that, you know what? You know, it's like getting real deep now. And then it's like, you know, it's also, I don't know if Dean was getting to that point or whatnot, but it's kind of like, you know, the actual teams themselves are, I guess I don't know if I'm wording it, nationally exempt, you know, from the nation itself. So, I mean, if it isn't, you know, the players might have a right as an individual to protest if they feel and need to, but at the same time, they may feel pressured by then their upper management or superior to, hey, we are a team of the National Football League of Associated or whatever, and we're exempt, and we have under this to maybe we should abide by this type
Go
of
ahead,
deal.
dude.
You have you're performing. You're paid to perform and do a sport.
Yeah.
If you were watching your favorite show, you take Orville for a second, okay?
Sure.
In the middle of the show, you're getting to the story, Seth MacFarlane stops and goes, I don't think we should do immunizations of minors and babies and things like that. I think it's a bad thing. Just in the middle of your show, you're just like, the French? What just happened? I don't know why I'm watching this. I just lost focus on my story. I'm now looking at this and I'm annoyed. I don't care about the subject. I don't care about the source. I'm annoyed that this just happened in the middle of my focus.
Yeah.
Same thing at the beginning of the game. You have a respectable organization such as the Packers. Packers are the players of the people. They're they don't have a single owner. They're group controlled.
Yep.
They went to their game, and instead of taking a knee, instead of doing all these things to stand against the anthem, they locked arms. They showed that they were in support of each other, and they stood at the anthem. They showed that it doesn't matter what our president says, what the people say,
Yeah.
whatever the media, it doesn't matter, liberal,
Oh, yeah.
conservative, they all play off of racism. They make their money from that. They make their sources, they get their media spread, their political agendas, all because they say, well, that was racist. That was racist. We're being distracted. The president is being investigated for treason with Russia. That's treason from our head of the country.
Yeah.
But we're focusing on small, stupid stuff, and I just want to watch some damn football.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to sit there, eat my freaking hot wings,
Right.
And
drink
just
a big
watch
old
some
beer, and watch
football.
some
Let's
football.
have a good game.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Can we not politicize my football?
Yeah.
I
Don't
wanna
politicize
pull
the
my neighbor
football,
over.
dude.
You're my neighbor. I don't care what your orientation is, what your preferences are, life, religion. I just want to hang out.
Exactly.
Well, and that's just it. That's just it. And that's where I'm getting to is the fact that I think that's where most people have gotten to. And I found it interesting that the one player amongst the NFL that was selling more jerseys or more merchandise than anyone else was the player from the Steelers this week that stood up that was a former vet.
Yeah, I mean that helps being that you are for America and
Sure.
that you served. I mean that's a big selling point. But you look at someone like Kaepernick.
Yeah.
The media will spin that and say, well,
Oh,
they
yeah,
fired him because
absolutely.
of his orientation or his ethnicity. They fired him because of his stand.
Right.
That is not true. There might be some degree of that. And
Yeah. I'm not
white
saying there
supremacist
isn't.
racism makes for 1% less, 1% of the country or less. That's a given on. You can look it up anywhere you want.
Right.
Yep.
Kaepernick has not played successfully in almost 2 seasons.
Yep.
And the man looks good on paper because you're playing off stuff when he was younger. He does not need to be playing football. There are so many upstanding football players that still stand for his message, that'll do the things that they need to do to show their support for his cause. Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter. It doesn't matter. But
It does.
It does. But
I know what you're saying.
I saw a statement somebody posted that said Jesus put an end to all this confliction way back 2,000 years ago. He died when for all lives matter.
Yeah, and that's if you have a religious belief.
Yeah, okay,
That's
I
if you
do.
ascribe.
I'm religious. Me and Julie, we're friends. I'm slightly conservative. I will admit that.
It's okay.
Um,
There's nothing wrong with that, Dean.
Thank you. But religion-wise, I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter who you are, what you are. I don't get to pass judgment.
No, exactly.
So when I'm watching a sport, I'm not passing judgment on you or what
Yeah.
you do. I just want to watch freaking football.
Yeah.
I just want to watch a baseball game without knowing that, oh, hey, look,
Right.
he's being judged for wearing a cross around his
Right.
neck.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
watch basketball, but I want to be able to watch LeBron James fall down and say, awesome, cool. He's not being profiled because of his ethnicity because
Right.
he can't play and they're mistreating him because
Yeah.
of who he is.
Yeah.
I don't care for any of that. Like,
Right.
it sounds really mean. Outside of that environment, I fully support and I expect people to treat everybody individually and with the same amount of respect that they would give me.
Yes.
If you take that respect away from me, I'm not going to show you any respect.
Yeah.
I mean, not to take it to a super serious place. But
Well, no. Well, that's what this show's about, though. It literally is, and it is about those hard conversations.
It was like in
because-
the 1930-something Olympics when the boxing match went against Hitler, in Germany when it was Nazi Hitler, right?
Captain America?
Yeah, it was us. I forget. Yeah,
punch a Nazi thing?
we had an African
It's
American
okay. I've
dude.
knocked out Hitler.
We had an
132
African American
times.
dude. We had an African American guy, right, on our side, and then
Joe Louis?
yeah, going against the whatever other guy.
Well, yeah. Well, and
And it was like, Joe Louis beat him.
despite that,
There you
I mean, it was really, it wasn't even boxing. It was running. And,
No, there was
yeah.
a boxing though too. There was a boxing,
Yeah,
but you
But
just
that
didn't know
wouldn't-
it, and you called Joe
no.
Louis, and I fell along with you. But I
no,
feel you. I
Joe
feel you.
Louis was the big fighter at the time, but there wasn't anything
Okay.
about the Nazis
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a boxer.
I'll look it up.
It was it was utterly about Jesse Owens.
Yeah,
and the track racing.
Yeah.
And the-
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah, there
Boxing, running,
you go.
whatever.
Sorry. Yeah. You're using some extremity or some shit. Yeah. You're using some of those things.
But it does come down to the fact of, we are allowed to say what we want. The question is when, and that's what I think Dean was getting to. Dean just left.
Well, no, he's going to the bathroom,
take a
but he's
bio,
still. No.
But it's literally for me.
Sometimes
I can't-
Sometimes in a position there is no win. Sometimes
Well, sure. There's not
or the
always
win is when you're
necessarily
gone out
a
of that
win.
situation.
Well, and it's not
And
even
then
about
you know.
a win. It's about right and wrong. It's not about winning or losing.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you're talking about race, when you're talking about these issues, when you're talking about stuff like Colin Kaepernick,
Right.
it's about right or wrong. And
Right.
does he have the right to protest?
Yes. I agree.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes,
Is
I
his
do.
protest
Yeah.
correct? Yes. Absolutely.
If
What he is
if it
standing
feels right
for,
to him, yeah.
what he is standing, not even if it feels right to him, it needs to be stood for.
Right.
It's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that.
That's what I'm
that
saying. If he sees something that I
minorities are not
don't, or
focused
that he
upon by
feels
the
that
law.
he needs to protest, and he has an individual right, and that what came along that this country
The-
was for.
Well, the
That-
only place that I play devil's advocate in the situation is, can you do that in the workplace?
No.
Can you do that on nationally
Right.
paid syndicated time
Right.
that has been paid for by other individuals
Right.
that may not believe what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
And
you need to
that's-
get in on this one, Dean.
That's the question. That's the question. Because, like I said, there is
Say that
nothing.
again, Chris, so-
there is
so Dean can hear this.
nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with the protest of Colin Kaepernick. Nothing.
But what makes it in question on what you just said?
For me, it's the fact of not only that are you protesting that while you're working, but it's the fact that you are protesting that on national television on time that has been paid for by other people. if you paid for that time, like if you said, hey,
Right.
guess what?
You're making your statement on national TV that wasn't paid by you.
If you came out and you said, I will pay $25 million for the first minute and a half
Jesus Christ. Yeah, right.
of broadcast of an NFL game
Right. To make this statement.
to make this statement.
I'm down. I'll watch it. You're paying for me for it.
Right. But
If it's going to cut back on my cost, my cable bill, I'm down.
But but it's the fact
But that's-
of the money to put forth to put those
Yeah.
games to broadcast comes from
Right.
sponsors.
Right.
And if those sponsors aren't backing what you're
They're pulling out.
protesting,
Doritos left. Buffalo Wild Wings left the NFL.
yeah,
You have full dedication now from Bud Light and from Dick's Sporting Goods. And I'm not saying that those companies are against the message that's being said,
no,
but they see chaos coming
yeah,
and they're pulling away.
yeah,
You're going to make me miss out on an awesome halftime show because you don't have the money to do it.
yeah.
Missy Elliott killed it, okay?
No, I'm not
Get
gonna
all over
lie.
that.
Well, and that's what I said in my post the other day was I basically watched the Super Bowl. Like if I go to somebody's house and football's on, I'm not going to not watch football.
I think-
I'll sit back and watch football. I don't know stats. I don't know a lot of players, but I will enjoy a good game of football as good as anybody else. I love a good game of football.
You know what I think?
I have no pony in the race. My only fealty lies with the fact that I am from Houston, so I must
Yeah,
root for
Oilers.
Houston. And other than that, I went to school in Dallas, so I must
Oh,
root for
gross.
Dallas secondarily.
I've got a Warren Moon
That's
rookie
just the
card.
way
Does
it is.
that mean
After
anything?
that, I fortunately have the Titans.
It's in a box in a closet.
Gross. Get out of here with the Titans. In the wrong state. No.
The wrong state.
Even KC don't like the Titans.
The Titans.
But yeah, like I don't follow football. I don't watch football. I have no, like I said online, I have no pony in the race.
Wouldn't it be a good thought that these sponsors that do backing of NFL teams should probably more sign agreements of 2 years or whatever, like say when you have a team member, let's say whatever his name is, that takes a knee
Colin Kaepernick.
yeah,
Sure.
okay, and then people's sponsor starts pulling out because or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Already have your sponsors locked into an agreement of 2 years, 3 years, whatever you want to do, because when something happens like that, you're backing more. You got that little cushion going on there. You know what I mean? Because by time that later on down the road, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, guess what? We're not going to be talking about this. This is going to be old.
Go
news.
ahead,
This
Dean.
is going to be old.
You said green justice at the beginning of our conversation tonight. You look at an athlete, okay, this is the greed of sports. Michael
Yep.
Phelps won so many gold medals for the U.S. Somebody found a picture of him 2 years prior to him even contributing to any of Olympic medals, whatever, smoking a little bit of weed.
Yep.
Lost Nike. He lost whatever that Speedo, or that is the company Speedo.
Yeah.
Lost all of them. And he's got Subway. I mean, for the munchies, it's there if he ever decides to get back into it. But it's completely a political game and a
Yep.
green game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not going
Yeah.
to make money off of him, because Kaepernick was not a good player, you're not going to make money off investing in him and his protest. It's a joke. But if you had a great player, someone who's recognizable, you have Marshawn Lynch, you have someone like why am I forgetting the quarterback of the Packers? Aaron Rodgers. You have any of those former big name athletes that were just out there
Right.
that people would could actually follow, that didn't have a criminal record. Not that Kaepernick does, of course.
Right.
You had those people out there supporting this movement and promoting
Right.
these efforts by people to improve society. You would definitely have a lot more investors. But right now, because of how chaotic it is,
Right.
these companies aren't going to invest money in the players. They're not going to invest money in your opinions.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood's game. That's
Yeah.
not for
Well, and
Right.
it's sheerly the fact, like I said in my post, and I was pretty pointed in it. I'm pretty pointed in a lot of my posts, but it was
You don't say.
I think,
No, you just saying
I
this.
think so. It was pretty much along the lines of the fact, okay, I watched the NFL for the Super Bowl because of people like me. Like I know people that do the tech, do the live tech at the Super Bowl, stuff like that. So I'm actively watching the Super Bowl to see what my friends are doing, stuff like that. I have no pony in the race. I have not been following a team all year. I'll watch whatever. I don't care, but for me, when it comes down to it,
Your pony sucks.
well, hey,
Ponies rock, okay?
yeah. You leave the bronies alone, bro.
Don't be a jabroni.
For me, don't be a jabroni.
That's a good one.
Yeah, don't be a jabroni.
Yeah.
I got something to say to that.
Be a jabroni.
You don't be a jabroni on the air, man. Oh, yeah. Macho man.
Yeah.
So who can tell how old I am now?
Yeah.
Did you ever get into that, Dean? The wrestling thing?
No.
I was a Stone Cold Steve Austin guy.
Oh,
So
he's a
that's
Stone
what-
Cold.
Austin 316, son.
I mean, who couldn't be,
Bring
right?
it.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Bring it.
Exactly.
Well,
Stone Cold
Stone
was
Cold
the
Stunner.
shit.
Yeah, stunning everybody.
Got that goddamn knee brace, but he'll break your back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he'll
Well,
drink some beers at it, too.
Yeah. Oh, he's coming out with the beer.
Yeah, I could pass that up. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I could have missed the whole match, and I saw that. Hey, he's my guy.
Well, and it does ultimately come down to numbers. It comes down to money. It comes down to sponsorship. It's the same way with
That's
media.
why I'm saying
It's
get those
the same way
sponsors
with news.
hooked into a 5-year agreement. Hey, if my team member says anything or does on his
You have no control of that.
I'll have Congress. The stack of papers you sign is going to be this deep.
Nah. You have no control
That's
over that.
Smolin there somewhere.
And that's just it. Like you've got some control over what's called a slave contract, which is basically how a player is supposed to behave.
Yeah.
Which means like when you're on the road, you're in
we're
your
talking
hotel
about what it
room by
is, but I'm talking about what it
11:30
should be, So to kind of maybe prevent the sponsors now that are backing out of these things that, now that the members are doing now that they don't agree with. That's what I'm saying.
Oh no,
It's
what I'm
for
saying
future,
what
right?
I'm saying is what is what should be. Like this already exists.
Oh, okay.
These contracts already exist. It may not be in his contract with the NFL, but I guarantee you it's in his contract with the team
Oh,
to be in alignment with team teachings, with team beliefs, with the belief of team sponsors. And if the team sponsors say don't do this and you keep doing it, then yeah, like you are in violation of your contract with the team. Forget your contract with the NFL. You have a contract with the team above that.
Oh God!
There's so much diversity, though, in a team.
Yeah.
You have players from every school across every state.
So really, seriously, okay, if there's 2 different contracts, one with the team and one so he can violate one with the team and then be like, okay, well, not this team. He can go to another team, right?
But not everybody's a contract player. A lot of them are just they're hire-ons.
Yeah, they're free
walk-ons,
agents
free
and-
agents, things
yeah.
like that. They don't have that luxury of standing up for something they want, and they don't get the money that's worth them losing their jobs over
Yeah.
at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But it's a huge distraction.
Yeah.
Originally, when I was asked if I was going to come on here, I was going to rant about Puerto Rico, about
I know.
No, I'm not going to do that. There's a lot of bad justice there that really
There
upsets
is.
me. But you have these players that, again, and I've said it enough times, that really mean something, and they
Yeah.
have good intent in their hearts, and they want to do the right thing.
Yep.
Some of them are afraid, like you're with Adam there. I'm sure there's other lawyers that are watching, and it's like watching your mom yell at your brother because your brother did something stupid, but mom's not going to make the punishment. She's going to wait till dad comes back and says something.
Right.
It's the same with the players. They now have to watch their sibling get yelled at, and you either say something and lose your options and get grounded too,
Yeah.
or you sit quietly and I'm playing video games and watch the TV till 9:30.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go play my game, yo. I just want to play my game. I don't want the whole system taken away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's just it. That's the scary part, is that there is an intimidation there. There is an intimidation factor there.
Be right back.
And it can be the fact of either the players start losing stuff or the audience starts losing stuff. One of the two. It's going to go one of the two ways.
And it's a double loss. I mean, you lose the player you love.
Either way.
Then you also lose the game because you don't have the player to support you.
Yeah.
And it's not even about the sport or the players and stuff like that. It's about the integrity of the game. You have players who will come out and say things. Man, I'm having a terrible time with names. These beers are delicious.
I know.
But the quarterback for the Panthers, okay? He lost to my team. They had a huge interview and research into concussions. Again, they're back to the concussion thing from the 90s. You have somebody who speaks out about that, they get ridiculed for actually trying to do their job and doing these great things. But if he doesn't stay quiet, he doesn't get to play. And then they risk losing another season doing bad because that player is not there.
Well, and that's just it. Like I said, the day that I found out about the encephalopathy issue, the fact that people were actively getting paid to continue. I don't know. Like I said, I grew up with Texas football. It wasn't just Houston Oilers number one.
Amazing program.
It was like Texas high school football too. And are you from around here? Did you?
I'm
grow
from
up
Oregon,
with this?
but Texas has one of the most respectable football programs I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's also got one of the most dangerous football programs around. Because I don't know if you were involved in high school football or knew people involved in hardcore competitive high school football, but it was frequent that people were sent back out onto the field with a concussion or something like that. And that's some dangerous shit, especially whenever you're talking about a young brain, and it's something that not many people are aware of. It's something that the research, and when you're talking about suppressive research from the top, from people like the NFL to suppress that kind of stuff, like we were saying with Junior Seau and stuff like that, where it's like, please inspect my brain. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not who I used to be.
That's true. And it's a sad story when you hear about athletes who have harmed themselves or they've harmed others.
Yeah.
And you want to relate it to a brain injury.
Because Aaron Hernandez, I mean, good God. Yeah, he had everything going for him and went out and shot somebody in the face.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, you can't really defend something like that. But with these athletes getting hurt, where am I trying to go with this? It's complicated. It really is, because you have people who want us to do the sport. Texas is one of the few states, if not three. You look at New York, you look at Texas, and then you look at where I'm from in Oregon. In Oregon, they have the exact same situation where players are, number one, you will close down parts of a school, you will stop providing books, you will do whatever, but we'll take personal donations and push it towards football because those people want to see their kids do good in sports. And it's better than paying for an elitist football program like in New York or in Oregon.
Sure.
In Oregon, you got to go to Portland. You got to go to Eugene to play sports and actually go outside of the state and be recognized. In Texas, no. All the recruiters come to Texas to see what each high school has, because it doesn't matter if you're small town, you're big town, if you're whatever division, you're an elitist. You are the cream of the crop when it comes to football in Texas.
Yeah.
They don't want to take that away from Texas. If Texas keeps producing professional players, it's what's going to happen. Yeah. There's no way around it.
Yeah. And that's just it. Like, there is literally a suppression of this stuff. They put it down from the highest order. I mean, good God, Will Smith just did a movie about it not too long ago. And I personally know someone who is developing technology to be able to diagnose contusions and concussions, like on the sideline, like right there. Yeah, that's where it's going, because it happens on the regulars. And whenever you're talking about that kind of stuff, for me, that's a little bit disturbing that we know this is going on. We're aware of it. And we not only allow it, we encourage it. And we pay you more to do it.
Not every team has the funds to take care of players that way. You look at some teams, they have a second string, and if they're lucky, they have a third string. You look at like European sports, like let's take rugby for instance. Okay,
Oh no, there's the same issue with soccer. There's the same issue with soccer with impact to the head.
But
from
not every
soccer
country
balls.
has that problem.
No.
Not every country has that problem. But again, you look at rugby, okay?
Yeah.
Rugby extremely physical, way more
Right.
violent than football. I
Right.
respect those guys any day of the week. But they have so many
Yeah.
players that when it comes down to it, oh hey, you just got clocked. You're off. I'm
Yeah.
putting someone else in your place. Soccer, the same exact way.
Yep.
You're an all-star. I've picked from millions of people. You are here because you are the best. If you go down, there's somebody else. In the NFL, you go out for a game,
Yep.
I'm not paying you for the rest of the season. I'm suspending your payments because you didn't provide your end of the
Yeah.
contract, which says you're gonna play 32 games for me.
Yeah.
That's 3 seasons or whatever it is. I'm sorry, math sucks right now.
That's
But-
okay. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So-
and that's just it.
So rugby, they wouldn't get it penalized financially.
No, they don't.
No.
You're paid by either your talent in rugby, when you're playing in minors, when you get to the majors. You are a professional athlete for the country. You represent the country.
That's
Yeah,
what it,
The U.S. doesn't
that's
have
what I-
that.
You know.
We have multiple teams in some states. You have
Yeah.
New York Giants, you have the Buffalo Bills. In Texas, you have the Cowboys, you have the Texans.
Giants, Jets, and Bills.
Right.
Yes, the Jets.
Oh,
Nobody cares about the
Jesus.
Jets.
I know.
I know nobody wants
They
to.
were had.
I know nobody wants to name them, but they exist.
That's so fucked up. That's why I named them earlier. But yeah.
But they don't get the credit they need, and they don't have the support that they need because you're no longer playing a sport for fun. You're no longer
Right.
playing this for a contract.
Yeah.
You're playing this for your livelihood. If you go down
Yeah.
and you get
It is a
dumped,
livelihood.
you don't get to play anymore.
You
and
you
the
could technically
examples,
die.
and what
You could
blows my
technically.
mind is that every one of these dudes comes out of the college football system where they are straight up taken advantage of on the daily. They are not allowed to get paid. They cannot take contracts. They cannot take subsidies. And yet at the same time, their likeness, their skills, and their efforts are used and licensed in video games around the world. All
that's
kinds of
fucked
shit.
up. Yeah.
All kinds of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they cannot reap the benefit from that at all.
I had a guy that worked where I work at now, and this was about 8 months ago or more. And so, anyways, he was recruited or whatever you called that for college basketball, and he's going to be on the video game and shit.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty cool to know that, I guess. But yeah, I mean.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
sure he's being taken advantage of to a certain store or whatever. Yeah, hey.
Well, but
It's a sort of taking advantage.
Well, I got
of-
my name on there. No.
Yeah. Hey, what's that again now?
hey, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, I thought I heard something.
But yeah, quite literally. I mean,
We're supposed to hit
college students, and it starts there, and they have the dream of going into the National League. They have the dream of going.
But
into
I think
the
what
NFL
Dean was saying, like, yeah,
and
like that
everything
rugby
else.
thing, man, like that's what the NFL guys should have, like. I mean, like, no, not like, oh, now you're injured. Or,
The Cowboys are the most expensive series out of any sport in the world now. They have made $4.7 billion.
Yeah,
That is worth more than Manchester United. That is worth more than Barcelona for football. And they are played across the world.
damn
Not
Skippy.
just one place.
The Cowboys,
Yeah.
Cowboys make more money than anybody else. Their seats are the most
even though they
expensive.
suck ass.
They sell
They're America's
NFL
team.
I know, right?
They're America's team.
the
That's-
NFL has a
That's kind of
restriction.
cool to know, though.
You can't pre-sell more than 95% of your seats in your stadium. The Cowboys said,
It's like-
we're not going to sell more than 89%. And we're still going to charge more for our seats because our fans are more loyal.
That's
They're
right.
now making
Yeah.
more money, and they're charging people to come into their stadium, but they won't share the wealth. They do. Jerry Jones, he did build that Frisco Center, which is great for students and for young athletes and people in the community. But
You did a few things.
put the money in taking care of your players. When they come to when I was watching the game, Mile High Stadium, these Cowboys players, Broncos were standing up. They were ready. They knew what was going on. They were ready for it. They were prepared. They knew about the altitude adjustments. Cowboys players were sitting there the whole time just sweating their butts off. And I'm like, they're not enjoying where they're at right now. And they're playing because they are paid to be here.
Right.
And they have no choice. And every single one of them, whether it was immediate or later on in the game, somewhere received an injury where they were limping off the field.
Yep.
Oh,
and
God.
there's no money in that for them to say, I quit this game. I've hurt myself. I can't do that. It's unfair.
Yeah.
It's unfair. Even if I don't like the Cowboys, you have to respect the player. You have to respect the position. It's like you going to work and saying, hey, you just stuck your hand in the oven.
Right.
You're done.
Yeah.
But you can't say you're done because if you do, you're fired.
That sucks that you have a third-degree burn on the palm of your hand, but you still got to flip pizza all night.
Peel that off and sell it on eebay. You'll make tons of money for that, Dallas.
Looks kind of like Jesus.
Exactly.
Looks kind of like Jesus.
Oh, damn.
Does this smell like bacon in here? No.
Yeah. It smells like bacon up in this motherfucker. Hello. You're a winner.
Well,
you just won the Showcase Showdown.
You know, quite literally, going from Adam Reposa tonight to this topic to where we've been.
Where have we been?
Well, we've gone from Adam Reposa. We went through, the issues going on in society on numerous realms, much less the protests going on in the NFL. The reporting on some sides that the numbers are lower in Nielsen ratings, that they're higher on others.
Depends on where you're located.
Yeah, and we have literally covered the gamut
and
tonight.
I liked how we left Adam on that note that when I asked him, can't you sue for malicious prosecution? And he goes, good point. And then I was waiting for his response, and then it was like he had to go.
Well,
he said, "Good point," and he wanted to say something, but he had to go. He did. He
had another show to go be on this evening.
He had to go.
He's taken on quite the.
But he knew where I was going, and he knew a common man's mind knew where it was going.
Well, and it's the fact of
it doesn't take a whole lot of logic, but it takes some common sense sometimes to know that hey, you're getting fucked, and these people shouldn't be fucking you like that.
That's the play.
Damn, Steve.
Yeah. Well, common sense, bro.
That's hard, bro.
Isn't it hard what he's going through?
It's harsh.
Sometimes
no, it's definitely harsh.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're backed in a corner, I don't want to repeat some other guy's saying, but you know what I mean. But yeah, when you're backed in a corner...
Okay.
You know what I mean. Yeah, I ain't going to repeat that guy's saying.
I do, I guess.
Yes, you do.
All right.
Yeah. You got to fight your way out, basically. Long story short. Yeah, it ain't pretty. It's like, hey,
This is my truck.
Is it like that?
It's basically just like that.
Yeah.
Goddamn, Howard Dean, where'd you come from?
And we use Howard Dean as the example all the time of the fact that all it takes is one downturn of
what
public
football
opinion.
team does he like? I wonder.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. If he puts on a jersey and shows up at a bar, he
is politically irrelevant because of this. All right? I want you to not only listen to it again, because it's awesome.
Count the seconds.
But look at the time. 2 seconds of a soundbite.
He was able to go,
Stop. 2 seconds of a soundbite ruined 30-plus years of a political career.
Was it that?
That's where we stay. Yes. Yes. That is literally what the news started focusing on and spiraling down on.
Controlling
was that.
Again.
All right, Chris, could we say this is conjecture at this point?
No.
Speculation.
If you go back and look at it, from the moment he did that, it went down.
Right.
Straight up. Because that's all they played all the time.
So at what point,
all the time. all the time. That's
And
all they did.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes is
And you
a
never
soundbite.
heard about that man ever again.
That's all it takes is a soundbite. That's all it takes is a kneeling on the field. That's all it takes is a kneeling on the field to take away from a message, to take away from something that's
once
good.
you're labeled as something, you know what I mean? It's you're branded, you know?
Well,
it's like musical
branded.
artists. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and that's the
Artists
issue.
of music and
That's the
stuff
thing
is
that
the
we have
same
to
way.
think about is that Colin Kaepernick, like we said, has no problem at all doing the protest that he's doing. Do the protest that you're doing. That's great, fantastic. But
Keep it up.
but you can't not expect to come out of it.
You know,
way too much
Garth
cover.
Brooks wanted to do rock
have
and roll.
You have to
That
understand
didn't quite work out
that
right.
there will be some people that do not agree with that there will
Right.
be some people that do not like that there will be some people that aren't with that.
Right.
And that's not to say that that's wrong. That's okay. That's
They are the
that's
less than 1% in the government.
that is the discourse of society. That's what's supposed to
90%
happen.
of it is the social media and the
Technically-
media, period.
Technically, the whole reason you're kneeling to begin
Mainstream
with
media.
is to start that dialogue. The whole reason you're kneeling to begin with is to start that dialogue.
Right. Right.
So-
you're trying to make a point to the other people, you know, what you stand for, and this
Yeah.
is blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that's where I stand on it. You got the
But-
right to do it, and the whole reason
Totally.
you're doing it is to start the dialogue.
Now, does your boss
So-
have the right
so
to tell
if the
you, hey, you're
dialogue
on my
leads
fucking
to-
deal?
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, if that's where the dialogue is led to, I'm very sorry.
So this is what it comes down to. If his superiors, managers, whatever, comes down, owners, says, hey, I got to fire you for this or let you go for this, then it's okay for them to do that, I guess. But at the same time, it's okay for you to, if you feel so stanchly
here's the thing. At
that
this,
you leave.
at this point, it's not really okay for them to fire him.
Why?
Fire Kaepernick?
Yeah,
Why?
it's not.
Well, now that this, like it's gone so long.
No, because by all HR standards, if they were to have fired
They
him,
should have filed it already.
Number one, they should have filed complaint and let him know beforehand.
He wasn't the contract player. Why would they not have the right to fire? He was hired for the seasons that he was going to do. He finished. He's done.
Oh, in that right, absolutely.
Oh, okay, if his contract's up.
You can get rid of him at any point by that.
Why not use him
Yeah.
as a spokesman to represent the NFL? Everybody hates Goodell anyway, so any decisions he makes, nobody's going to care. They hate him. If Kaepernick is there to say, hey, I may not get to play, but I get to represent this icon and show the diversity that is involved in the NFL. That is a national football league. That is them showing the whole entire nation that we are accepting of people that represent peace and people who represent the strive for equality and for the reduction of differences amongst people.
Yep.
That if you are going to be a racist of any kind, you do not belong in our country. Those people holding the Nazi flags, those are the stupidest people I've ever seen. No offense
Absolutely.
to anybody that's out there that's thinking that they were somehow representing them. You are foolish. Those people are crazy and need to be taken out of the country. We fought those guys and punched them in the face. Why do you think it's okay for you to come here and wave their flag?
Yeah.
Kaepernick needs to be a spokesperson. I think that he would make it further to the podium than Tony Romo would have with his broken back.
Fuck them up.
But he has a good message.
He does.
And I
He does.
hate that people will see, like, and again, I'm slightly conservative in this. I fully respect what he has to say, and I appreciate what he has to say. I think it needs to be acknowledged.
Yes.
It needs to be taken very seriously because there is a problem.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what the percentage is. You have demographics who are either they're supremacists, I think they're superior, or they're in fear. You have people who say, don't walk near them because they're dangerous.
Yep.
You have people who say, well, don't insult them because they're white and because you'll be at fault. That is the dumbest mindset in the world.
Right.
You are a human. You do me wrong,
Yeah.
I'm going to do you wrong. If I do you wrong, you have every right to come after me for doing you wrong. It doesn't matter who you
Think
are.
as that whole.
That's it.
It doesn't matter who you are, what you represent,
Right.
what you've done in your past. You have to be accepting. The only way our country is going to move forward is if we
Exactly.
ignore this media bullcrap that's going on,
Yep.
this spread of slander and
Yep.
plagiarism and all sorts of
I think a
stupid
good
stuff.
example is like the last thing with the gas thing here, locally or in
Yeah.
Texas.
Totally blown out of proportions.
Yeah. And then when people put shit on the media, it blows shit out of proportion.
It does. And-
Whether it's race or the gas or anything like that.
Well, and we need to get into that another time. You're more than welcome back. Anytime you like, Dean.
Appreciate it.
That was fantastic.
I wish we could have got on the other subject. I didn't know you had that other thing going.
The
I'm
idea
shy.
here
I've had 5 beers.
is that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah,
and-
no problem.
I like I'm not going to say I like the way you think.
Yeah.
I like the way you drink.
The idea here is to open the conversation, is to open the way that we think, the way
I do like the way
that
you
we
think.
consider things. And remember, folks, if you can't be good, be good at it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dudes and Beer Podcast. To listen to our audio streams and chat with us live, download the official Dudes and Beer app for both Android and iDevices, available on the Google Play and iTunes markets. For more episodes, content, and information, visit us online at dudesandbeer.com. You can also find our episodes on Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast service. Thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, drink responsibly.